What's going on? 10 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans General Manager Mike Borgonzi and President of Football Operations Chad Brinker spoke to the media yesterday, highlighting the draft class and what the overall theme of the class was.
It's important to us that we were going to build this thing with a strong foundation, and I think it was well documented on the character of these individuals that we brought into this football team. Now, we expect them to come in and learn how to be a pro and be the guys that we think they can be to really help change the culture around here. And I know that takes some time, but it starts with getting really good football players in here who are also really good people.
If you want a broad breakdown of the entire Titans 2025 NFL draft class, then you need to be at the install with Greg Cosell as they talk about the pros and cons of every single Titans draft pick and maybe some UDFAs. Titans head coach Brian Callahan will be here live this Friday, May 2nd at the Analog Room at the Hutton Hotel. Tickets available at 104.5 The Zone. And big money coming in for tight ends as George Kittle has signed an extension to remain in San Francisco. 4 years, $76 million with $40 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid tight end in the league. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Nothing makes me happier than a studio all to myself. That's right. We've banished Lucas to the shadow realm. Bert is receiving messages of support because Lucas is on vacation for the rest of the week. That means it's just you and me back there, big boy. 615-737-1045 is the number. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is how you can get involved in the F&M Bank chat. We'd be happy to have you. We got Titans press conferences to recap. We got Ramon Foster in about 20 minutes. I'm going to ask you if I've got something to give away for Oh No at 10:45 today. I'm assuming the answer to that question is no.
You would be wrong.
Oh.
We do have something to give away today. Tickets to go see Metallica. You've heard the ad nauseum. You know that it's a no-skip weekend, no-repeat weekend, and you could go see Metallica. I believe it is on May 1st. I'll have to double-check.
I need that Metallica concert to be over with just so I never have to hear that godforsaken commercial ever again.
Unfortunately,
it's been 75 years of that commercial.
You sounded like the old woman from the Titanic. It's been 85 years. I was hoping they wouldn't sell out.
And I have no issue with Metallica. You were actively preying on their downfall just because of this commercial?
Maybe they would cancel it, you know? Maybe they would cancel it. They were like
Katy Perry, her terrible new album, this tour that's been a disaster, apparently.
Don't tell that to Cheyenne. Cheyenne loves Katy Perry.
Well, the new album is awful, and Katy Perry looks a bit out of sorts, but that's neither here nor there. We got a lot of stuff to talk about throughout the course of today's show, as is the custom, and there's no better place to start than with the Titans post-draft recap press conference yesterday. So you got Chad Brinker, your president of football ops, got Mike Borgonzi up there at the podium to talk to us. And they wanted to make sure, because typically, I don't know if you guys care about the minutia of this, but typically we speak or we have spoken with the general manager after each day of the draft, the general manager and the head coach. The Titans did it differently this year. I don't know if that's a structural thing. I don't know if that's Brinker's call, Borgonzi's call, whatever. I kind of liked the new format this year where Brian Callahan spoke after the first round. Mike Borgonzi got up there on Friday with Cam Ward for his introductory press conference, gave a couple of words, then let Cam field some questions. Then on Friday night, or throughout the course of Friday's second round, we talked to Dave Ziegler, the assistant general manager, and Reggie McKenzie, who's a senior personnel advisor for two former general managers themselves, and got a couple of different perspectives on this new Titans draft class. And then on Saturday, we talked to their two national scouts, which I rather enjoyed, as opposed to, which allowed them, by the way, to go through the UDFA process and CSU land people like Xavier Restrepo, who I know you're very happy about. So they took some time to make sure that they had the UDFA stuff nailed down, and then Borgonzi, Brinker, post-draft recapped yesterday, and I thought it was a very well-rounded experience. So I would compliment the Titans on the way that they organized that for all of our purposes.
And that is not something that other teams do. I am jealous that you got to hear from the national scouts, because those are the guys, not to say that Borgonzi and Chad Brinker don't do the work, but those are the guys that are really grinding the tape. Those are the guys that are bringing people up, like, oh, I saw this guy, and talking to the area scouts, and then like that. That is the funnel of information. So getting to hear from those guys is super in-depth, and I'm kind of jealous about that. I need to go back and listen to see what the scouts said and see if we can get some nuggets from that.
It was as thorough a draft experience or draft intel experience as I think we've had. So I appreciate the fact that they're trying to get you as informed as humanly possible through getting us as informed as humanly possible. Now, for Brian Callahan, as Bert mentioned in his update, the first time that you will hear from him on the entire draft class is on Friday. Bert, what's on Friday?
Oh, I think that's my mom's birthday. Actually.
Well, I hope that for her birthday, you bought her 2 tickets to the live taping of The Install with Greg Cosell, hosted by me with our very special guest, Titans head coach Brian Callahan, at the Analog Room in the Hutton Hotel this Friday in just 3 days, or I guess 4 days from now. You can be there with Greg and with Callahan as they break down the entirety of the 9 picks that you've acquired, as well as free agents. I just sent Brian Callahan Greg Cosell's evals today for him to redline and to see if we can't get some agreement or even reasonable disagreement for us to learn a little bit more about how they went about scouting these guys. We're going to take your questions and much more thanks to Two Rivers Ford, Hattie B's, Monkey Shoulder Scotch Whiskey, Milagro Tequila, and wholesale supply. Tickets available at 1045thezone.com.
I see a lot of people in the chat saying, Eric Taylor, I still need to go get tickets. Well, you need to go get tickets today, because they are rapidly firing off the shelves. We only have a couple left. So if you want tickets to the install, you need to run and go get them today. I also wondered if you got my demands for the green room for the install.
Your demands?
Yes, only red Skittles, unlimited beef jerky, and all the Hattie B's I could eat. Did you receive those demands? And are you willing to acquiesce to them?
You need to seek out better representation, because your people did not reach out to my people regarding your level of demands. I had a buddy in one of those, in a frat in college. I was not somebody who really had any interest in the Greek life part of things in college, but something that the frats at Indiana used to do is they used to get these big acts to come in and perform at their frat parties for what's called Little 500. There's a movie about it. It's called Breaking Away. It's a very famous bike race that basically turns into an entire week of partying. One of the frats that my buddy was a part of booked Ludacris. And Ludacris, the only thing that Ludacris wanted is a variety of different sweet things, not just red Skittles, but I think he was all the colors of the rainbow as far as his Skittles consumption. I think there was boxes upon boxes of condoms in certain situations. Then you also had, I think, a certain kind of Hennessy. I can't remember exactly, but there had to have been multiple bottles of Hennessy. Basically, we had to prepare a green room, or help my buddy prepare a green room for Ludacris, a room that he did not even set foot in, but ended up doing the concert. He just wanted to make sure that he had some demands on the front end, even though he had no plans whatsoever to go into that room after the fact.
He was 100% drinking Cavatier, baby. Your frats were way cooler than the ones at ECU. I was also not in a frat, but had friends in it. This made me think about it when you talk about Skittles. They had a game they would play where they would dump a bunch of Skittles on the ground, and they would make all the pledges, color coordinate them, put these in piles according to the color. And about 2 minutes into it, they'd cut a strobe light on. So your frats were way cooler, getting Ludacris, and we were doing hazing.
The first concert that I saw at a frat party at Indiana was Mac Miller opening for Wiz Khalifa.
Oh, wow.
And it still may be the best concert I've ever been to. And I've been to some good shows.
East Carolina no longer gets those kind of acts, because once Wiz Khalifa came for our spring concert and was arrested for having paraphernalia on his person.
Okay, well, you have to make sure that the police force is aware that the acts.
Come on, what are we doing, man? It's Wiz.
You gotta be aware of who you're bringing in and what the circumstances have to be. So the Titans are aware of the players that they're bringing in through this draft class, and they had one Well, they had a couple of different metrics that they wanted to judge guys on. I wanted you guys to hear this opening statement from President of Football Operations, Chad Brinker, because I do think it sums it up pretty nicely as to how their draft process went down and ultimately the kind of players that they went out and sought out to raise the floor of this roster.
We're not going to comment on any of the undrafted free agents at this time. We're still working through a lot of things. They'll be available to you here at rookie minicamp, so you get plenty of time to talk to those guys and learn about them as well. They got to go through a lot still. We got physicals and signing contracts, so we're just not going to comment on them at this time. Also, you may be wondering with the new regime change, that you're wondering about staff changes. We're still working through all that. So we don't have anything to comment regarding the staff at this time as well. But we are working through those things. But speaking of the staff, I thought the group did an outstanding job. It's been a long 3 months. We spent a lot of time in what we call the cave together, watching a lot of tape. This was a new process. A lot of people weren't familiar with it. It's rigorous. It can be tiring. It's a lot of late nights. And I really commend Mike Bergonzi and his staff for the work that they put in and what they have done. And I think it showed over the weekend. Mike, he led this draft process. And this is the first time I've worked with Mike, and we've worked together. And it just felt like we've been working together for many years. It was really seamless. It was good dialogue throughout. I think you can go into a draft in peace, knowing when you put the work in on the front end, and you're able to, like a good quarterback does, when you get thrown something at you weren't expecting, you have all that training in your background to adjust and try to make the right decision in a split second. And I saw some of that from Mike over the weekend as well, and I just was really impressed with him. And I think y'all had an opportunity to talk to Dave and Reggie, and also our two national scouts, Sam and Mike, and hopefully you got a little bit of a glimpse of what our staff looks like, and hopefully you're impressed with them, because this is a really good group that works really well together. We went into this season, I think we had 5 draft picks, and by the end of the draft, we ended up with 9 players. 8 of those 9 came from the Power 4 schools, and we're just really excited about what we're able to add over the weekend. It's important to us that we were going to build this thing with a strong foundation, and I think it was well documented on the character of these individuals that we brought into this football team. Now, it's going to be upon them. They got to come in here. The NFL is a tough business, and we expect them to come in and learn how to be a pro and be the guys that we think they can be to really help change the culture around here. And I know that takes some time, but it starts with getting really good football players in here who are also really good people. So we're excited about the guys we drafted.
And they should be. That's Chad Brinker yesterday at the press conference, and he went on to add some additional details about what kind of is their type. That's the first thing that we are going to learn about this organization, about what this organization and their new structure are looking for. Broad characteristics was the question that was asked that were presented throughout the draft class, along with the character that was mentioned. And he brought up, Chad Brinker did, big, fast, tough football players who love winning more than anything else. I mean, that's a Titan. Somebody finally establishing, after 2 years of whatever the hell the last 2 years were, establishing what the Tennessee Titans want to be. Getting back to an identity, a core set of principles, instead of just being like, oh, well, we've got this much money to spend on X player. Let's go out and get him. Or, oh, we just so happen to have tripped and fallen into Calvin Ridley. Let's give Calvin Ridley as much money as you would be comfortable giving a top of tier 2 wide receiver. Not to say that Calvin wasn't a good addition or can't be a good addition, but that there's at least some core principles in place and a rudimentary guideline as to how they're going to try and build this thing back up. And that's the thing that you're trying to look or learn the most from this current organization. So you're going to hear from Mike Bergonzi later in the show. Ramon Foster is going to join us coming up next, because a bunch of Tennessee Vols did get drafted and also landed in a couple of UDFA spots. In fact, some interesting names that didn't end up landing with a team in the UDFA process. So we'll get to that with Ramon coming up next. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Guys, it's time to say goodbye to pain and hello to a better game with Burrow Chiropractic's revolutionary stem wave therapy. Whether you're a golfer, whether you're an athlete, whether you're just somebody who's starting to get up there in age and your body's feeling a little more creaky than it used to, stem wave therapy is a non-invasive, cutting-edge treatment designed to help golfers get back on the course pain-free. This advanced therapy uses sound waves to target and repair damaged tissue, providing natural, long-lasting relief. Now, my golf game is terrible whether I'm healthy or not, but something that's been bothering me is my shoulder. So they were able to give me some stem wave therapy to make sure that I got back up and running. My bum wing has never felt better than it does right now, and that is a credit to Burrow Chiropractic. Their expert team is dedicated to offering personalized care that caters to each individual's unique needs, and stem wave therapy is perfect for treating that chronic pain, that inflammation, and even old injuries. Plus, Burrow Chiropractic is proud to be the official chiropractic provider for Middle Tennessee football, ensuring their athletes stay in peak condition. So give them a call today at 615-410-7643. That's 615-410-7643, or visit them online at burrowchirotn.com. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Ramon Foster, the best Vol Network analyst in the world, joins us now. He's the hardest working man in sports media.
Trying, Bob.
Hey, buddy, you're succeeding.
You right there with me. Y'all got there's some Hall of Famers around here that do a whole lot, though, too. So.
Listen, well, you know, I just, at some point, people are going to get tired of putting microphones in front of my face. So I'm going to take as much money as they'll give me while they're still willing to put up with me as humanly possible.
As the kids would say, what's up, twin?
That's right. That's right.
Same thing. We should joke like that on there, shouldn't we?
Well, listen, I mean, nothing makes me happier than trying to publicly leverage my situation with a microphone in front of my face. So I'm happy to do it. It's up to you. You don't have to sink into these waters. And I know that you've since graduated. You've demoted Robert Walsh to send him back here with me. You were just telling me how much better Justin Hawkins is in the morning than Robert is. What a lovely relief it must be to have competency around you. And meanwhile, I'm so happy to just clear the room and to welcome you in.
Hey, even through all that, Bert knows where my heart lies. Ain't that right, Bertimus?
Right next to me, baby.
I thought you moving Cheyenne over.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something. I would
moving her over. The man has tried to throw her off the pedestrian bridge.
I did hear that.
I wouldn't kick Ramon out of bed for eating cookies, but Cheyenne would have to sleep on the couch.
You got to go.
You got to go.
Oh, really? You're going to kick somebody out of bed for eating when you are wandering around in your sleep?
We need
eating the peels off oranges and the toppings off pizza. You know about his sleep eating problem.
I do know about that.
That's why neither one of y'all have let me come over for a slumber party yet.
Easily. I got a room for you. We'll put you in the bonus room. Lock the door. I'm just worried about my liquor in there.
Chain him to the bed. I ain't never woke up drunk before, so that's a good thing. I just eat. I'm just a fat ass at heart.
You better knock on something. One of these days, you're gonna wake up for work. You're gonna be absolutely blitzed because you got into the, what were you saying, the Cavassier earlier?
Cavassier. Anybody want a fifth sandwich?
What's that?
Ladies' man.
Ladies' man.
That's right.
That guy came on the scene and left quick, man. He was a Saturday Night Live guy.
There's a shooting star across the sky, but it was a great star turn. Ramon Foster, star for all media platforms, here with us. And I wanted to talk to you, not just about, talk me through Titans radio draft coverage, because you were still a part of that this time around, and that's always very thorough. The preparation is always excellent. The product is always superior. And from your standpoint, as you guys covered this draft, I guess kind of take me through what your feelings were in real time and how you kind of saw this thing play out through the draft process.
The first 3 rounds of it was pretty solid. I got to give it to everybody. Knew Cam Ward was going to be the guy, but then when it actually happened, you have the ability to actually speak about him. And Coach Mack and Rhett have so much information, being able to dial in on the things that he's good at and how he goes about, and also the not necessarily expectations of him and his franchise, but what picking number 1 overall meant. And hearing in hindsight, I think we end up seeing one of your tweets about where the Giants offered up a king's ransom, it seemed. And for you to say, no, this is our guy, I think that gave a bigger stamp of approval to us that was doing the broadcast and to the fan base after hearing that too. And just going through it also, the next day, night, seeing that trade actually come in, because the Titans was picking, about 3rd pick into it. So having to prolong that out a little bit and trying to decide and decipher where are they going? Then they go edge. And then, 3rd round was his safety. I thought those were good moves to show you that they were trying to build a team up and taking the highest value that you possibly could, but also try to render some assistance early is the way we somewhat took it. Coach Callahan came in and had a conversation with us, too. He was very calm about it. Hands were, you can tell he was either working out or doing something going on, because he was just in the mix, it felt like, man. But he was chill. I feel like he's a little bit settled this time around and doing the broadcast, but what you didn't get out of us was a lot of fluff. The Shador conversation came up and went away from time to time, and just acknowledging it more than anything. I saw a lot of people upset about that and how it was covered on the big networks, but that's why you should also listen to Titans radio draft coverage.
Amen.
But it was good, though. I enjoyed it. I'm not sure if they'll ask me to come back and do it again, but I think that satisfied my contract on that one. So a little bit of a surreal moment for me more than anything. I was like, dang, this is it. I walked out of the Titans facility on Friday and was just like, dang. Let me look back one more time.
Yeah. That's but on to just as important things, and obviously an interesting Tennessee season. And I want to talk to you about the guys that got drafted out of the University of Tennessee, the guys that didn't get drafted as well, and some dudes who didn't even find UDFA landing spots that I was a bit surprised by, but I know you have some more information on.
Yeah.
Before we do that, though, I want to talk to you about locker room leadership, because I have, you and I have two different perspectives, even though we are creatures of the locker room in two different forms, right? So I have covered a lot of different kinds of teams. Teams change from year to year. Guys leave, guys get paid, guys retire. You just go through these life cycles, and for the last couple of years, Ramon, there have been plenty of willing participants in the Titans locker room that want to step up and kind of take the mantle left behind by a lot of these dudes who were established in the league, who were brought in to win, who did win at a meaningful level, and then as we go through the life cycle of the Titans, crashed out as that started to devolve and as mistakes started to be made on the personnel acquisition side. You bring in a guy like Cam Ward, who just exudes this level of command, and the idea that he is going to, Lucas brought this up with me at some point last week, how's that going to translate when you're dealing with adults in the room, as opposed to being a transfer quarterback, an established commodity, somebody who's been around the block a reasonable amount of time with people who are of your same age, when in reality you're dealing with guys who are now 8 to 10 years older than you in a lot of situations. It's a younger locker room for the Titans, so it's not like they're all going to be above him. But just the idea, Lucas brought up, well, I don't know how seamless it's going to be. And my whole position was, to the point where we got in a screaming match over it, was, no, he just has to be authentic. He just has to be authentic, and the rest will follow. Obviously, the performance is important as well. But on the onset, as he comes in here and tries to establish that, and I wonder if you could speak to kind of the dynamics, because you've seen all manner of different kinds of locker rooms.
Man, that's a fascinating approach. And because of this, what gets him the first bit of respect is he's 1-1. Round one, pick one. That comes with the designation that, look, you are that guy. And if you are that guy, come into this locker room and show us. I think early on, Cam Ward, if I'm him, I go to work. I'm the first one in, last one out. All the little small cliches. But it ain't just that. It is, all right, if you're going to be this demanding guy, well, I need to see you also be that in the weight room, in the classroom, and also how you treat your teammates. I'll say this, too. I think his relationship with Will Levis needs to resonate higher than almost anybody else's in the room, man. Just so, look, this ain't my fault. It ain't yours either, probably, but I like you, but it's here for business. It's a business transaction to me.
It's a little his fault. It's a little Levis's fault.
It is, but being in this spot, Will didn't ask for that, right? And he probably would have much rather have been shipped off somewhere than had to deal with this too. And here's the other side of it for me when it comes down to Cam Ward. His personality, I think, is what's going to be most attractive to almost everybody else. The more I've listened to him, the more I've watched him, you get no nonsense in public. When he goes in that locker room, he needs to be a guy. He needs to be in there having a good time, showing guys, look, I'm going to show up to your event. I'm all in with you dudes. But when it hits the practice field, he's that guy, right, that you say is going to lead this team to a new realm. It starts with his playmaking. The best leaders on the teams are the dudes that make plays, Buck. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can say what you want to about this guy being a high pick, you get this amount of money. No, go make plays. If he starts doing that in those OTAs, those mini camps, and going into training camp, everybody shuts the hell up. It's just that simple. That's the one thing about, like, the guys I play with, like Antonio Brown. AB did his thing. In training camp, we have some stuff that can't hit public. Guess what, though? AB, when those lights and those cameras turn on in that field, nobody questioned what you was going to get out of them. Now, there's a slippery slope on how you deal with those types of things, but the guys that get the most respect are the ones that have a level of consistency and the ones that make plays for you. And as of late, the guys that's been playing quarterback here have not done those things, right? And then the dudes that are playing other positions beside them, Derek, unheralded just leader, right? But then when Derek leaves, it's somewhat forced Tajay into that role, right? But Tajay didn't make enough plays. Tajay was young. Tajay couldn't stay on the field the way you need him to. So as vocal as he can be, it still doesn't resonate to one that being the quarterback and the guy that can make everybody happy. And that is if Cam Ward comes out here and lights it up there's a lot of pressure, but that's a privilege in this sport. And that, to me, is where he changes his fan base and also the locker room. It won't matter his age at that point.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that resonates the most with me is the locker room doesn't care what your age or your pedigree is as long as you are a contributor and as long as you're authentic to your point.
And
that's just the thing, because guys can sniff that out. They sniff that. God knows they sniff it out amongst coaches.
They sniffed it out of Levis, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
And those moments where it was dark for him, he went darker. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be...
Oh, the body language.
It's terrible, right?
Oh.
Like, and you know what happens in those moments? Like, I tell a story on our show sometimes where when you have that quiet, confident, sure guy, we be down 5 minute, 20 left on, like, the opposing 30. And Ben would walk in there, fellas. Wouldn't even look at us. Head down, looking at his play card on his wrist. Fellas, y'all give me a little bit more time. We're going to go down and win this thing. That's it.
Just cool, calm, collected.
That's it, but it's also because I've seen him do it. He believes in what he's got going on, too, and you're not foolish with the ball. Like, it is, Buck, that gave me chills. I'll be completely honest with you. Like, knowing that you got an opportunity every single game, there's nothing better than walking to the locker room and going, That was my middle finger for the folks. And get this, y'all not going to beat us, so it's going to be hard for y'all. We got to mess up for you to beat us. And they hadn't had that here in a while.
You're much smarter and more savvy than I for a variety of different reasons, because normally when it comes to, giving the middle finger, I've just done it on camera before, especially when Mike Giardi is harassing me at training camp and I forget that I'm on camera. But either way, Ramon Foster hanging out here with us. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 6 to 10 a.m. You can catch him on the Vol Network, of course. This coming fall, his debut season. Speaking of teaming up, we're teaming up with Ramon right now. 104.5 The Zone is teaming up with Game Terminal for their 4th annual Beer Fest on Saturday, May 17th. Get ready for a day filled with beer, cider, and alcohol tastings, games, fun, and excitement. Buy your tickets now for $40 or $50 at the door. Beer tastings, gift bag, and swag will be included with each purchase, and a portion of proceeds will go to Nashville Humane Association. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit 1045thezone.com/events. So, from draft process and raising the floor of this franchise to the University of Tennessee and how good it is to see them continually getting players drafted into the league. That's always good for the program. It's always a good selling point in recruiting. And there's some interesting landing spots. James Pierce, as the Falcons' second first-round pick, the trade value that they gave up for him, I was pretty taken aback. And listen, the Falcons, God knows they need desperately pass rushers. They haven't had a good pass rusher since Vic Beasley's rookie year, and then before that, Jonathan Abraham. There have been, Grady Jarrett, obviously a good player there for a long, long time, but not like a top-tier pass rusher that way. James Pierce goes to Atlanta as the second of their first-round picks, and I wonder what you made of the value and the fit.
What I made of it is this, from my sources that I've talked to, they wanted him at 15. A decision was made between coaches and GM on that 15, and then he was still there. So if you look back at the video of James, the coaching staff was ecstatic. And so that's where it played into. But here's the thing about James. James is a rare athlete. There's not many 6'5", 240, whatever he is, guys running 4.4s when you look at how his ability to make plays. And the other side of this, too, with the rotation that Tennessee had, James' numbers aren't just astronomically high, right? You don't see Abdul Carter numbers out of him. But what you say to yourself, if I give him more time, if I put him in a situation where he can rush, he's 6'5", with long friggin' arms, he's going to be able to make some hay when it comes down to what you're asking him to do. I thought it was appropriate. Another one for a guy like that. But here's the other part of it, too, is we listened to Brendan Beane earlier as he was trying to stop the team or radio shows from criticizing him.
Can't relate.
As I was saying, like, he called in on him. Well, he's doing an interview. But they have their quarterback. They have the offensive line mostly set. They got skilled players outside also. Picking up and giving up that first-round pick, they probably said to themselves, they believe in their guy, Michael Penix Jr. So we don't need that anyway. We'll be really good in the second half, but what you're not going to do is run the ball on us or have your quarterback sit back and not get anything. Because looking at the division, too, the NFC South, Baker runs. Bryce Young is a guy that moves around, and whatever the Saints turn into, they cannot get beat by those guys. So you attack your division first, and that's what I felt like they did. So it's appropriate with time to give because your quarterback ain't due anytime soon.
The other players that were drafted, Omar Norman Lott, the defensive lineman, went in the second round to KC. Dante Thornton drafted ahead of a lot of guys that I was curious about. I saw Bruce Feldman yesterday in The Athletic wrote that it felt like Al Davis was running the Raiders draft. He went to Las Vegas in the 4th. And Dylan Sampson, the second running back draft pick, that the Cleveland Browns had. He also went in the fourth. Of the three of those, which was the most intriguing landing spot to you?
It's definitely Dante Thorne going to Vegas. You got a guy in Geno that can give him the ball down the field. And also, when he's healthy and on the field, he can catch. It's not like he got a case of the dropsies. He got the speed for it, and he got the size for it.
When he attacks the ball, which I like.
You get, in my hope over the course of his career, a better Darius Hayward-Banks, speaking about big, fast guys that can run, right? That's what Al Davis did back in the day. But I like his more than anything. It's hard trusting Cleveland with almost anybody, and Quinshawn
You
being
say that with
there.
a smile on your
I do
face.
say that with a smile.
Look at the two of you back there praying on the Browns' downfall.
Me and my dog Bert, baby, hey, one and the same.
I couldn't wait to come in after night one and be like, how stupid is Cincinnati and Cleveland? Like, anytime that we can come together to hate on the other 50% of the AFC North, I'm down to do that.
Easily.
And then he had to begrudgingly admit that the Steelers had a pretty nice draft, but we don't have to dwell on that too long.
He didn't text me
Please
that.
don't.
He didn't text me that.
Coward.
And it's also the noise that Cleveland's bringing, too. They got a guy that has, you got Sexy Red saying, when can I go to a doggone Cleveland Browns game? How you run an organization like that?
She'd be the biggest talent in that stadium. For sure.
Legitimately, straight up. That's your boot thing, too. I know if you ever had one. But,
Lord, you are my shepherd. You know what I want.
but with that being said, though, they're going to have a lot of that to where I don't think it's Nashville. Right? Like Jelly does his thing. Jelly Roll does his thing too. By the way, major flex him calling in last week. That was dope.
Well, he's nice to humor me as somebody who's known him for a little while at this
He
point.
the homie. That's all you got to say. With that being said, though, the distractions that Cleveland Brent presents to young guys, which is why I had them as and when we talked about like draft grades, because you got two quarterbacks, one in the third round that you don't know is going to be the guy. Right, but you draft them ahead of Shador. And then you got two running backs that you are going to be counting on to be your guys as a replacement to Nick Chubb. That's asking a lot for a Joe Flacco type of guy. And on top of that, when the crowd gets loud for Shador at some point in time, it just creates a lot of chaos. So that's the only reason I side-eye that one, man. I'm not saying that Dylan Sampson's not going to be good, but it becomes problematic when you got outside noise making it inside your locker room. And for Omar Norman, teams crushed over him. Big time.
Clearly.
They like
He went a lot higher than I thought he was going to go.
That's what I was hearing, though, from the early, pre-draft stuff. Is Omar is the guy. Like, my guys around, my sources out in Knoxville was just like, no, teams are inquiring big time about him. He goes into a system where he can just be behind the shadow of Chris Jones. And it wouldn't shock me the early part of his career if he stays healthy, because he has, tissue, muscle issues and stuff from time to time, soft tissue. He could turn into a dude. I do think that.
In just about 30 seconds, because unfortunately we're out of time, and also you've been here entirely too long this morning. The guys that did not land in spots, Brew McCoy, Cooper Mays, and Javontes Spraggins, I was surprised by the two that I mentioned first in particular. You were not. Why?
Because Brew, with the injuries coming back, he's never had over 1,000 yards in college as a former 5-star. They track those guys. Those guys are supposed to be the dudes. And then when you look at Cooper, also injuries also. And then if he's not in a position where I went to in Pittsburgh, where the team is mature, you can sit and grow, and there's a culture that allows you to grow up and help facilitate your talent, it wasn't going to be his thing. He's not the athlete that Cade is, and he doesn't have the side of Cade, too. He's smart as a whip, so he can be like a Scott Wells type, but it's got to be the right place for him. Practice squad him for a year. I wasn't shocked by that whatsoever. Who's the last guy you mentioned? Spraggins, college good.
Yeah.
Like that's where I look at a guy like Kelvin Banks. He can play tackle in college. You probably move him in. The same goes for Will Campbell, too. You can be college good and get by and win championships and get All-American and all of that, but the league is a different monster.
Yeah. I expected him to realize a greater potential in college, and that just never really happened that way. So
And that's just how it boils down sometimes, man. It sucks, but that's the game. The league will tell you what you are at some point in time.
Well, big fella, I appreciate you coming here, telling us what we are on a regular basis, and keeping it on the rails from 6 to 10 a.m. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, you can also check out the Ramon Foster Show and coming to the Vol Network in the not-too-distant future. Appreciate you, Ramon.
Yeah, anytime, Buck.
Love you, Moni.
Hey.
All right. This is too much for me. Do I have things to give away?
You do.
I feel like I'm in the middle of something. Like this is not supposed to be the cuck chair, but I'm, let's just keep it moving, can we?
Rising show. Metallica tickets. You can go see them May 1st if you tell us what made you say, oh no, this week. 615-737-1045.
Take these tickets, get this concert out of my life, make this commercial go away. We'll give you Metallica tickets coming up next. With ED, there's no reason to freak out about it. That is a natural thing that happens to guys as you age. Your body starts to change, and you just want to make sure that you have the right support system in place, because maybe you've gone online and taken some pills, and the pills were effective for a period of time, but that's not an effective way to continue to treat the problem for you as an individual. There's a lot of misconceptions out there about getting ED treatment, and the Tennessee Men's Clinic is there to debunk those for you. Lots of men assume that if the pills stop working, they have no other options than to seek out treatments like irreversible surgery. Do not go through extremes before you've talked to the experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, because they specialize in men's sexual health issues. It's all they do, and it makes them the experts in the field. They have access to multiple protocols and options to treat ED based on your specific needs and what's going on in your body. So don't trust your health to an online pharmacy, and don't feel like you're out of options. We want you to understand all the options that you have available for you, because the Tennessee Men's Clinic is there with protocols that are patient-centered and customized to your needs. They have treatments for everything from low testosterone, ED, treatments that increase size, stamina, and everything else in between. So schedule an appointment online today at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com for their Franklin or Midtown location, or call them 615-208-9090. For the opportunity to win Metallica tickets. 615-737-1045 is the number. What in sports made you say, oh no? We'll get to your phone calls momentarily, and we'll assign those Metallica tickets. Robert, you want me to go to Gerardo first before we get to the submissions?
Yeah, knock him out. Knock him out.
Okay, well, I don't want to do that, but I'll take his phone call. What's up, Gerardo?
Man, I like to see you try knocking me out, Buckaroo. You talking about knock him out. Hey, no. I'm okay. I'm just saying, Will and Kayla need to watch out. That little segment we just had, man, you and Mo got some chemistry. And if you tell me this new regime is the time to taking over, I think it's got to be the same thing what's over here. Get you and Mo on the show. Get together, man. That chemistry was good. And, hey, a little bit of a look at me Louie there with the jelly roll, huh?
Ah, well, you know, it is, you work in an entertainment city long enough, you're bound to pick up a few people of note in your Rolodex. But, yeah, Ramon is excellent. Listen, that's not even a finable offense. Who's the most famous
lunch money?
Who's the most famous person in your phone? You want to play that game? We can play that game.
I actually have some pretty famous people because I'm the person who books most of the guests. So
not the guest booker, not the arm that you're reaching out to get the famous people. Who's the most famous person in your phone? We can play that game later in the week. But no, Ramon is great with Kayla and Will. Lucas is who I'm saddled with, who I'm tasked with carrying for 3 hours a day. So that's fine. That's my cross to bear. And Ramon, I know, has a lot of different things going on, but we do appreciate the compliment. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you would like to get in, tell us what in sports made you say, oh no, mine's Bill Belichick. How many of you watched the CBS This Morning interview with Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson? It's cringy. Here's the most cringy part of the Bill Belichick interview, courtesy of CBS.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book.
Make sure that that's the philosophy.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on, though Hudson has recently posted about it on Instagram.
You joined InstaFace, as you put it. I love that. There's some great pictures of you and Jordan, where you're a fisherman and she's a mermaid. It's charming. It's a different side of you. What's the reaction been like?
What's it been like?
To have these different sort of photos. There's another one where you're doing, I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordan on your feet, and she's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
Yeah, so I'm on some of those social media platforms, but I honestly don't follow them.
What he does follow isn't clicks
we can
or views.
That's
but touchdowns,
it
and
is
above all,
unbelievable, this interview with Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend, and both of them, her running the show back there. It's so funny to see him at this stage of his career and dealing with this particular situation.
I'm going to start doing that to you whenever you bring up something. We're not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about it. Sorry.
What is something, like, give me an example of something that I would bring in that you would stop me in my tracks, Jordan Hudson style.
Oh, how tight my shirt is fitting today.
Well, it is very, very tight.
We're not going to talk about it. No, this is one of my dreamer shirts. Do you have those in your wardrobe where you're like, one day I will be able to fit in this? Probably not, but one day I will.
No, because I can wear all of them now.
What'd you do with all your fat clothes?
I gave them to you.
Oh, dang. Dude, that's where all those clothes came from.
Yeah, I brought them in. Those are very nice clothes, by the way.
Oh, I sold them. Most of them. I had a yard sale last weekend.
What made you say, oh, no?
My oh, no is Buffalo Bills general manager Brandon Beane calling into, it's like the Jimmy and Jeremy show, Jimmy and John, Jimmy Jehoshaphat.
They're the most sports talk radio looking human beings of all time.
And Brandon Beane had zero time to play with him.
No, it was. I was just, listening to the last few minutes of your show before I came on, waiting on here.
All right.
Sounds like 2018 all over with you guys.
Well, how so?
Well, you guys were bitching in 2018 about Josh Allen. You guys wanted Josh Rosen, and now you guys are bitching that we don't have a receiver. I don't get it. Like, we just hold on, let me talk. We just scored 30 points in a row for 8 straight games. A year ago, I get you guys asking why we didn't have receivers, but I don't understand it now. You just saw us lead the league in points when you add all the postseason. No one scored more points than the Buffalo Bills, including the Super Bowl champions. So you just saw us do it without Stephon Diggs, same group. How is this group not better than last year's group? Our job is to score points and win games. Where do we need to get better? Defense. We did that. So I get it. You got to have a show, and you got to have something to bitch about. But bitching about wide receiver is one of the dumbest arguments I've heard.
He said, "Eat it, you nerds."
I said this last night on primetime, but I need to go back. You know, they posted it. Right? If they were worth their salt, they posted it somewhere. I need to see that full interview. How far into the interview was that? How far, how much further did it go?
It sounded like that was the start of the interview. Like, if I was Brandon Beane, I would have hung up on their asses.
How great would that have been? If they're waiting all day. We got the draft. Guys, big announcement. General manager Brandon Beane is going to be on the show. They do all the laser light show that whatever they do in Buffalo, and then he comes on and just puts a knuckle sandwich right in there.
Just a verbal swirly is what he did to those two.
I'm noticing behind the lead host there is a board that says wide receiver board. So I assume this is something that they had been complaining about all offseason.
That's perfect.
But honestly, I think the Bills have done a great job addressing wide receiver. Brought in Josh Palmer. Were able to address it with the Maryland wide receiver Caden Prather in the 7th round. So you've got an embarrassment of riches compared to other NFL teams. Stop being whiny babies about this and being butthurt that you don't have a million wide receivers.
All right, let's rapid fire through these for the opportunity to win some Metallica tickets. Tell us what in sports made you say, "Oh no," and we'll start with Noah in Gallatin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller, so thanks for taking the call. I love football, love the Titans, love them more now because they drafted Mr. Ward. But my biggest oh-no is in the NBA, LeBron James' fourth quarter against the Timberwolves. Sad LeBron.
Without context, have you been watching the playoffs? I've caught
zero.
I've caught a little bit of the NBA, so I don't really know what's going on there here in the last couple of weeks. But I do appreciate the submission. Anytime there's an opportunity to come after LeBron, it seems like the audience responds that way. Are they trailing in that series?
I think they are. It's 3-1 right now. So Game 4 will be. Or Game 5 will be later this week. But they lost 116 to 113 on Sunday.
I would have made it the Miami Heat. They keep losing playoff games by 30-plus points. It's crazy. Let's go to Ryan in Lebanon next.
What's up, Buck? How are you, man?
Good.
Hey, so my oh-no came in the form of the Music City Marathon this past weekend. So I'm sitting there watching these guys run, right? And all I see is a bunch of woo girls on scooters come in their little pink hats and their white boots and stop in the middle of the road where these athletes are running. I'm like, guys, know your surroundings. Oh, no, we're girls. You guys have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. Remember to stay on hold for the opportunity to win the tickets. Yeah, it's like the draft, when the draft was in Nashville and people plan their bachelorette parties and don't realize that the draft is in Nashville and then discover what the hell is all of this? How am I supposed to move around? How am I supposed to get my woo girl on at Rippies or Tootsie's at Honky Tonk?
And they do this every year?
Every year. Every year. Yes, that is correct. So the Music City Marathon derailing the Woo Girls, a crying shame. Let's get one more submission for Oh No. How about Colby in Hendersonville?
Hey, big country morning to you, Buck.
Well, you know.
My Oh No moment, I guess the Cleveland Browns need adult supervision. Because after many years of watching the draft and attending the draft back in Nashville, just to see them go with Shadur so late in the draft, and then for them to cut to the clip of them with golf clapping and a lack of emotion. I hate to say it, but I feel bad for Browns fans.
Robert does not, but I think a lot of people echoed that sentiment. So the Browns draft room showing no emotion after drafting Shedeur Sanders, the Woo Girls versus the Marathon Runners, or LeBron James in the fourth quarter. Who gets the tickets?
I got to go with the marathon.
Yeah, I agree. It's really a tradition unlike any other. So congratulations to Ryan. He gets the Metallica tickets. Remember to call in every Tuesday at 10:45 for the opportunity to win great prizes and tell us what in sports made you say, oh no. The skill set that the Titans targeted in the 2025 draft. We'll dive into it next.
11 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans General Manager Mike Borgonzi and President of Football Operations Chad Brinker spoke to the media yesterday and highlighted their draft class, talked about what the overall theme of the draft was for the Titans.
It's important to us that we were going to build this thing with a strong foundation, and I think it was well documented on the character of these individuals that we brought into this football team. Now, we expect them to come in and learn how to be a pro and be the guys that we think they can be to really help change the culture around here. And I know that takes some time, but it starts with getting really good football players in here who are also really good people.
And if you want a breakdown of the entire Titans 2025 NFL draft, then you need to be at the install with Greg Cosell as they talk about the pros and cons of every single Titans draft pick with Titans head coach Brian Callahan. It's this Friday, May 2nd at the Analog Room at the Hutton Hotel. Tickets available at 1045 The Zone. We got some big money coming in for tight ends as George Kittle has signed an extension to remain in San Francisco. 4 years, $76 million with $40 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid tight end in the league. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 1045 The Zone.
Now, you knew you weren't going to totally fix the Tennessee Titans this offseason, but you knew that you were going to be able to make some headway, especially with the number 1 overall draft pick. Thanks for hanging out here with us on this Tuesday at just after 11 o'clock. We're happy to have you, Robert and me, until 1 p.m. Lucas is out on vacation for the rest of the week. So Robert's stuck with I'm the fun one, right? Like between the two of us, I'm definitely the fun one. Because Lucas, when I'm gone, he tries to put on this fake broadcaster voice. He tries to be a professional. It's never as good a show with him trying to actually act like he's self-serious instead of being the pestilent little brother figure that he tends to operate as when I'm here.
That's not true. So the way I look at it is if you guys are mom and dad, when you're out of town, me and Lucas get to have candy for breakfast. We eat out. We hang out. We just have fun, watch movies, stay up late. When you're home, it's like hungry man microwavable dinner. Did you do your homework? Get out of the living room. Stop screaming. Stop jumping on the
furniture.
Bed. Yes, 100% get off the furniture. I would much prefer to stay with mom than to stay with you.
Well, that's very hurtful, and I'm sure the next 3 days will reflect that as a result. But 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. We'd be happy to have you. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Tyler Dial says, it's like having a substitute teacher in school. Way more fun. Yeah, but there are no rules. There has to be rules, all right? The substitute teachers are not respected, which adds up. The situation for us is there has to be the rule of law around here. Otherwise, nothing will get accomplished, and everything will start to fray at the seams. I can't have that.
We had cool substitute teachers in North Carolina. One of them was like 25. He was like, you could tell he was like a dropout. He wanted to be a gym teacher, but failed whatever school you have to go to be a gym teacher. But if you were 18, he would give you cigarettes. So I always looked forward for Mr. Connor coming in.
So he bought your obedience with illicit cigarettes as a substitute teacher.
He bought my respect, that's for sure.
615-737-1045. Like I mentioned, F&M Bank Chat. You can also interact with the show. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. So there was one particular skill set that the Titans did target. Because to me, the Titans aren't just building a roster. They're trying to rebuild the ethos of this organization. They are trying to rebuild the respect that people used to have for Tennessee Titans teams when you played the Tennessee Titans, and not what the last 2.5 years have been, which is, pencil that in, circle that game as an easy win to be able to move on past a team that has a disastrous quarterback situation and at the time a first-year coaching staff that didn't quite have their feet under them and sure as hell weren't ready for what was about to drop into their laps and a roster that's still very much in flux and doesn't have enough good players to pay its own people, so they have to go out and acquire guys mercenary style to try and piece this thing back together. That's not the approach this time around. Because to me, for the Tennessee Titans, if you simply raise the floor of this roster in 2025 and you cut down, let's just say they cut the turnovers by a third, 34, a league tied or a tied for league lead, 34 damn turnovers, 34 giveaways between the Titans and the Browns last year. Will Levis responsible for 18 individual giveaways. If you cut those things down by a third, you're probably a significantly more competent football team than the product that we saw on the field last year. So raise the floor of the roster, the biggest issue, and play more disciplined football, both in terms of penalties and in terms of putting the ball in harm's way, and you're probably making a lot more headway than you may have anticipated from a 3-win team to whatever this team will become in 2025. But the question is, how soon are these developmental guys that the Titans acquired going to be able to contribute right away? Because think about this. Cam Ward, he's the top quarterback. He may not be the best player in the draft, but he's the top quarterback. That's going to raise your floor. Femi Oladejo, the pass rusher out of UCLA. Kevin Winston, a stud safety coming off of injury. Those guys will have to find a role, and some may find a role, a starting role, or a more consequential role sooner than others. Then you get into the day three, specifically the offensive guys, where you're talking about Chimere Dike, the Florida wide receiver, Gunnar Helm out of Texas, the tight end, Alec, it's like a speed bump. Ayo Manor?
You remember that Justin Timberlake 50 Cent song, Ayo Technology?
Yes.
So it's just Ayo, and then where do important people live?
Manor.
In a manor.
Ayo Manor. All right. Alec Ayo Manor, the wide receiver out of Stanford. Then you get into the guard, the corner, and the backup running back, the depth running back that they added with the rest of their picks.
Okay, apparently I said it incorrectly. It's Ayo Manor.
Ayo Manor. All right. According to Dane Brugler on The Athletic, it is Ayo Manor. So at some point in this person's career, we will get his name correct.
Hopefully this week.
One would hope.
It's almost like when the new year comes and you're like dating everything 2024. It's like, oh, sorry, I'll get this fixed eventually.
I feel like a week is a sufficient enough runway for us to get our P's and Q's in order as far as the pronunciation of these new draft picks. Because they didn't make it easy. I mean, Keith Bullock had to have been pissed. They gave him the Femi Oladejo, and I don't know if he got up there and read the full name, not just Femi, because it's Oluwafemi Oladejo, I believe. And it was funny to hear Keith kind of like hit a speed bump before he said it, and then he nailed it, to his credit. So well done by Keith Bullock and Greenback.
Still not as bad as Jamal Charles at the draft a couple years ago.
Still not as bad as Vince Young with Harold Honor Landry, because God knows Harold Landry is a difficult name to get right. Anyway, so we asked Mike Borgonzi yesterday in this post-draft recap press conference how soon these guys, or how he views these guys, plug and play versus developmental, and I thought the GM's answer was pretty interesting.
Well, like I said, they all have developmental, things that they have to go through here. But then once you start getting into the mid to later rounds and some of these guys, you're looking at some traits, speed at the receiver position with Alec and DK, and Marcus Harris is a guy that played really one big year of football at Cal. But you saw the traits on film, the quick twitch athlete that can develop. And same thing with Mullings, too. You're looking at a guy that played linebacker for 2 years when he first came in, and really last year was really his first really workload of carrying the football. But you saw a big body there that runs hard, and you saw a lot of upside with him, and we were able to get him later on the 6th.
So that's Mike Borgonzi talking about the developmental level of guys and kind of them getting used to some of the positions that they were playing, whether it's Oladejo, who's a former off-ball linebacker, then converted in season last year to a pass rusher and still has some work to do to that effect. Khalil Mullings coming into Michigan as a linebacker, playing a good deal at linebacker, and then converting to a running back, which will give him some tools to help him identify blitzes, for example, and pass protection and things like that. And obviously the physicality that playing either of those positions would naturally lend itself to. We're going to talk tomorrow about the players, the draft picks that we expect to contribute right away most outside of Cam Ward. But it's going to be an interesting case study. And all right, how much does this draft class embody the mantra that they continue to spit out at us, which is patience over panic? And the reality of the situation is Amy Adams-Strunk going to allow that patience to make sure that they can achieve what they are planning to achieve or what they are setting the groundwork to achieve? It's a difficult question to answer based on the last couple of years around here. Are we going to do headlines even though Lucas isn't here?
Absolutely.
Oh, see, we don't need him for anything. NFL headlines are next.
Friends, if you're new to Nashville or you've been here a long time, odds are you've got a clean-out project that the missus wanted to see done by the spring, and it's almost summer. Well, let me tell you, the most reliable folks I know that can help you are my friends at J&J Services. For over 20 years, J&J Services have been providing dumpsters for local businesses, construction sites, home clean-outs, and demolitions. They provide commercial dumpster service for your favorite restaurants and convenience stores. They provide roll-off dumpster service for everyone from 60-story high-rises to your neighbor's farm. J&J Services can offer trash compactors to make those large loads a little bit smaller, and they can supply you with porta potties for your special event. For the safest, most reliable service that you can find in Middle Tennessee, call them today for a free quote at 615-599-7778. JNJServices.com, where they always keep it trashy.
It's time for NFL headlines with Bert.
See, that was succinct. It didn't take an hour and a half to get through the music.
Exact same time.
No, nobody believes you. We are going to get to some headlines with Robert Walsh, NFL and Titans related here in just a moment. But
so not right now?
No.
Why'd I even do this?
I told you what I was going to do. I told you I'm going to take some phone calls, and then we're going to do your headlines. Whether you're prepared or listening or not is not my fault.
Take the calls.
615-737-1045 is the number. Corey is in Hendersonville up next.
Hey, Luke. Sorry, not Lucas. Lucas is on vacation. Hey, Buck. Hey, Robert.
Hey,
I have
buddy.
something that. Hey, Buck.
I want to hang up.
I have something that is really getting on my nerves every time I hear Mike Borgonzi's press conferences. It's the fact that you say every single time that there's a break or a pause. Somebody teach this man proper public speaking etiquette. You don't have to put something in between your sentences. You can take a breath. You can take a pause. It is my submission for the dumbest thing in sports. It's my submission for the oh no of the week, and it'll be my Friday fire when he fixes it. Please, for the love of God, get somebody to teach you proper etiquette in speaking.
All right. Very good, Corey.
Unfortunately, he also has another terrible habit. I don't know if you noticed it. He is a whistler.
Well,
his nose is a whistler.
His nose? He's got a nose whistle to him?
Because every time, let me see if I can pull this audio back up. In the opening presser from Chad Brinker, all I could hear initially was his whistly nose. The whole time.
Do you have audio of this nose whistle?
We're not going to comment on any of the undrafted free agents at this time. We're still working through a lot of things. They'll be available to you here at rookie minicamp, so you get plenty of time to talk to those guys and learn about them as well. They got to go.
All I could hear, and it's a 3-minute clip we pulled from the opening statement. It is so loud, and it's like a ceiling fan creaking in the middle of the night. Like once you hear it, you ain't gonna unhear it. All you're gonna hear is those ums and those no. Those.
He just needs like breathe right strips. See, here I thought, yeah, those things that you put on your nostrils that expand them if you've got like a deviated septum or some kind of breathing issue while you sleep. So the nose whistle and the ums, all right, the biggest criticisms that Titans fans have of their new general manager today.
Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad if you can get it. Are you ready for headlines?
Yeah. No, now, damn it. This is not what we agreed on.
Shh, the music's playing.
Can you just do the damn headlines?
It's time for NFL headlines with Bert. A lot of news coming out this week.
You're so lucky you're in another room.
A lot of stuff going on in the NFL. My least favorite thing in the NFL, I've already told you guys, are the draft grades that everybody hands out so haphazardly. My second least favorite thing are the power rankings. Oh, these are the best teams in the NFL. Everybody's going to be these are the teams that are going to be bad. We don't know diddly yet. We don't know anything. But a top 20 or top 32 power ranking was put out by Eric Edholm at NFLnetwork.com. And the Titans, where do you think the Titans land on this power ranking?
Oh, the Titans with a quarterback that they drafted and a developmental roster process. I'm going to say they're 29th.
The Titans are at 32. Which, again, if he was just saying, I'm just going to use reverse draft order,
no.
You can't put it out. But the Titans are sitting.
Are they really?
He's sitting at 32, and he writes this.
Oh, let me pull up this this article.
The Cam Ward era begins. I have to say, I'm a little conflicted here. The closer we got to the draft, the more it became clear Cam Ward was a Tennessee guy. But while that happened, my appreciation of Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter only grew. To me, they're the biggest two game changers in this draft class, and Ward still has some some warts. The Titans also passed on what surely would have been a fantastic haul by not trading out of the pick. But if it turns out that new general manager Mike Borgonzi nailed the pick, with Cam Ward becoming a top 10 NFL starter at some point, I promise to eat my words. How do you feel about that? Do you agree, disagree? Would you like to know the teams that are around the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, give me the two that are above them.
The New Orleans Saints at 31. The New York Giants are at 30. Now, see, I could argue that the Titans are in a better place than the New York Giants are.
I could argue that they're in a better place than the Saints.
That's tough for me. That's tough for me.
Power rankings are so stupid. All right. Now, if I'm to keep a level head about this and not go full, Kyle Brandt, Homer, nobody loves you, nobody disrespects you.
He's a Bears fan. Come on, that was all genuine.
We're
going to fix it.
He's patronizing. He's patronizing the Titans fans. He's saying, "Oh, nobody loves you, but I will." He's politicking, is what Kyle Brandt's doing.
Pandering.
And that's pandering. But pandering, politicking, I think both can be the same in this instance. And I know Titans fans loved it, and we'll get to it later because we gotta play the good stuff if you're gonna sit here and have to deal with me. But they are the worst roster in football. They did get better at quarterback, which is the most important position. I know definitively more about their quarterback situation than either of the other two teams that are listed above them. So I'm going to have a hard time with the Titans at 32, even as I acknowledge that they were, maybe they will not still be, but that they were the worst team in football, that nobody who's doing national power rankings or national football analysis is going to actually take the time to watch the Titans in 2025 to determine whether they prove them right or wrong as far as the ranking of 32. So, understanding that these things are arbitrary, it's just kind of like, they just didn't have a place to put the Titans, so they said, we'll put the Titans at the end, and that'll be, the easiest way to get Titan fan engagement, because the only way that you can get Titans fans to care about anything is when you tell them that they're not good enough at something.
Speaking of things Titans fans should care about, the install this Friday with Greg Cosell and your head coach of the Titans, Brian Callahan, live breaking down the entire Titans draft. Make sure you get your tickets. Go to 1045thezone.com.
Yeah, many thanks to Two Rivers Ford, Hattie B's, Monkey Shoulders, Scotch Whiskey, Milagro Tequila, and Wholesale Supply. In fact, I just got a message from the good people at Two Rivers Ford that says they are awarding 4 of their sponsored tickets to one of the show's biggest fans. So Quentin Wilson, apparently an OG A to Z and Zone fan, is a new dad with a toddler and baby on the way, and he is going to be Two Rivers Ford guest of honor at the install. So thank you very much to the folks at Two Rivers Ford. We know that Quentin Wilson and his group of people that are going to be in attendance on behalf of Two Rivers Ford are going to be there to represent. So that's really cool. Well done by Two Rivers.
The rest of the AFC South, 29 with the Jaguars, the Indianapolis Colts at 23, and the Houston Texans at 14.
Why are the Colts at 23?
Do you want to hear his reasoning?
By what logic? Well, we have maybe, I don't know. Aren't we going to do divisional stuff later in the week?
Yeah, we are.
Let's circle back to divisional stuff later in the week, because I am constant, as somebody who was born in the state of Indiana, okay, I know some of you like to accuse me of being a Colts sleeper cell when I've never watched a Colts game that the Titans didn't play in as a part of my life. I am so confused why Indianapolis is thought of as highly as they are year in and year out when they haven't done anything since Andrew Luck was here.
I'll give you this as a teaser. And why I think the Titans could potentially be in competition for a seat at the AFC South table. The AFC South remains a division up for grabs, even with the Texans occupying the captain's chair. I believe that Indy is better equipped to make a run at Houston, but until one of its quarterbacks establishes himself as a leader, it's difficult to see much daylight.
Yeah, that's not a small thing until one of the quarterbacks figures out if they can be good at quarterback or not.
Right.
23, send him to the top.
We'll go to the biggest news article of the day with George Kittle getting an extension to stay in San Francisco. 4 years, $19 million a year. I believe that works out to about, what's in my daggum update? $76 million a year. Last year, Kittle was exceptional for the 49ers. In 2024, he ranked third among tight ends in receiving yards with 1,100 yards, tied for second in touchdowns with 8, and was first in yards per reception, 14.2, while continuing to be a key blocker in San Francisco's rushing attack. Big deal, little deal, no deal. What do you think? Because this was a position that desperately needed a little oomph. Travis Kelce was making the most money at this position for years and years and years. Earlier this offseason, Trey McBride signing an extension with the Arizona Cardinals, where he made a little bit less than this.
He's getting, what, 19.1, Trey McBride?
Something like that, yeah. And Kittle ends up getting a hair above that, making him the newest highest paid tight end. So are tight ends worth that? You think Kittle is worth that to San Francisco?
Who's playing quarterback for them? Like, I know Brock Purdy is going to play quarterback for them, but, like, what is the situation? The far more interesting circumstance in San Francisco to me is the quarterback's contract. Are they just going to ride it out with Brock Purdy on an expiring deal? You've lived this. Joe Flacco with the Super Bowl run. Are they going to Joe Flacco or try and Joe Flacco Brock Purdy in this situation by being like, you know what, kid, play it out. Play it out and prove us wrong. And if you prove us right, then we'll give you the money. But if you don't, you're SOL.
You're out on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. See, I would say that they are just doing right by George Kittle, who was severely underpaid at the tight end position, even though his cap hit was going to be about $22 million this year.
Well, he's been kind of unavailable, though, too, hasn't he?
I would have to double check that. But for me, keeping one of your more consistent weapons for San Francisco is a big deal. They had a mass exodus on both sides of the ball in free agency this year. And the health of Brandon Ayuk being up in the air, Deebo Samuel no longer being in, Christian McCaffrey being unavailable, I think you're keeping the most durable of your three non-durable players. Christian McCaffrey, his contract has got to be coming up, and probably a big wear on the 49ers for the, like you're talking about, with the money coming up for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, he played in 15 games last year. He played in 16 the year before. He's a 1,000-yard receiver in both, so I'm nitpicking there. But I think for me, it does raise the ceiling a bit for tight ends. Tight ends are a very versatile and important position, especially if you've got a quarterback situation where you just need a reliable safety valve, essentially, that can help you get yards after contact and yards after the catch. Kittle's done that at a high level. He's a willing blocker, which I think that in of itself, while also being a high-level skill position player, makes him worth the value, because the tight ends are going to be – Dave Ziegler brought this up over the weekend with us talking about Gunnar Helm. Like, tight ends are going to be overmatched when they're in the blocking situation. But are they willing? Do they have the proper technique? Are they making strides to improve it? Kittle is also an insane person, so he's a willing and seems to enjoy blocking guys up in the run game being so important for San Francisco. I have no issues with the contract whatsoever. And also, I suppose we should give credit to Will and Taylor, who reported it first.
Were they first?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did not know that. That would explain why Will was tweeting. It would be tough to meet Ian Rappaport in the A-gap over who had this tweet first.
Well, he'll call NFL security on you if you try.
Well, you can't do it at an NFL event. You'll have to invite him to Backyard Bussin' Boys or whatever that event they do in the Beer Olympics.
The Beer Olympics, the thing that you're desperately trying to cling on to for clout and relevancy, you're trying to go to with me this year?
I would love to be an urchin at that if I was allowed to. Also, I would love to show off my prowess in flip cup, beer pong, chandelier. In any of the beer games, I am your ringer.
That's how I'm going to start describing you and Lucas to people, as my urchins.
My urchins. All right, Ursula. Dolphins general manager on not trading Jalen Ramsey during the draft. Quote, "We will make the deal at the appropriate time." Jalen Ramsey, what does he go for? Who the hell is interested? Is he a Dolphin this year?
So they've continued to find no common ground with Jalen Ramsey. I think he's a difficult trade. That position specifically. It's why I had so much issue with the Titans paying two of them in 2024 in the offseason with Chidobe Awuzie and L'Jarius Sneed. It's such a position that's subject to variance, and it's arguably the position on the football field that requires the most high-level athleticism to be able to stay with these freaks of nature at wide receiver that you've got running all over the place. He's not a bad player at this point in his career, but he's not at the height of his powers by any stretch of the imagination, and he's expensive. What's it cost to cut him? I can pull up his. I can pull up his spot track.
I've got you right now. At this point in the article, it notes at this stage, it makes financial sense for Miami to wait until June 1st to move Ramsey. A trade over the next month would result in a $25 million dead cap hit. Waiting until June 1st to execute the trade would reduce the figure by more than $18 million, spreading the charge out over multiple years. So it would be similar to $18 million if they wait until after June 1st.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a hard time. It's like to a different extent. It's like the Titans and Levis, like the idea of trading Levis during the draft. Nobody's going to trade for him during the draft. They're going to let the dust settle. They're going to take a look at what they have in their own quarterback room. They're going to see if Will Levis is better than what they have in their quarterback room, and then maybe they'll flip you a seventh for him. I don't see the Dolphins don't have leverage here, as far as I can tell.
It also notes in this article, and a more interesting story, Coach Mike McDaniel declined to discuss the relationship with Ramsey and reports that he and the player didn't see eye to eye. The coach said that he didn't want to take the focus away from the players drafted. The non-answer speaks volumes about the current situation with Ramsey and South Beach. So they're going through it in Miami, where apparently the whole reason Calais Campbell did not re-sign, Jalen Ramsey wants out, Tyreek Hill wants out, is the veterans are not meshing well with Mike McDaniel. So apparently he is treating people like superstars that don't require to be superstars. Apparently, I can't remember the Miami beat writer who I read this from, but would not fine players for being late to meetings, which Calais Campbell, an obvious veteran, he's been on a ton of teams, was not a big fan of. So this will be This will either be the impetus that pushes Mike McDaniel to change his coaching style from being I kind of look at him as a player's coach, a bro coach. He's your friend. He's not a Mike Vrabel. He's not your father. He's not an authoritarian figure. He's your bro, man. Let's run some plays. Let's figure it out. How do we get this first down here, guys? Come on.
Yeah, it almost feels like the league has figured him out, both from a schematic standpoint and from who are you actually if we put you in this position? Are you a leader of men, or are you the gimmicky guy who likes to dress like he's from South Beach and hit a vape on the sideline, according to some allegations? It's not to say that he can't do it or that he can't adapt or adjust. He's a very high-level intelligence individual. But he has to figure out how to manage people, which is no small thing. I mean, in any business, I'm sure anybody within the sound of my voice has had problems with a manager that isn't really equipped to manage properly, that doesn't have the requisite time on task skills, that doesn't have the proper authoritative approach while still trying to maintain a productive and enjoyable workplace environment. It's a difficult balance to strike, a difficult tone to strike. But the Dolphins, I mean, I don't know. I've always felt like they're a bit of a paper tiger when it comes to high-level competitors in the AFC. I just don't buy them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think the head coach is aided by the passive Paulie that they have in general manager Chris Greer down there. Chris has bent over backwards to do whatever it would take to make his head coach happy in multiple stints. And in this case, when Mike McDaniel came in, he's like, I want to trade for Tyreek Hill. I want to trade for Jalen Ramsey. I want to trade for Bradley Chubb. And Chris Greer was willing to make those trades instead of saying, hold on now, do we really need to trade a first-round pick for a pass rusher when we're about to get to the draft? Are we going to compete? Are we going to stay in the playoffs for long enough to make this make sense? Instead of being the voice of reason, he was the voice of, okay, let's do it then. Trade all those picks.
He was an enabler.
And he was an enabler. And if you look at Miami's roster, that, in my opinion, is one of the biggest issues with their roster. They didn't have first-round picks for the longest. They didn't have high picks for the longest because they weren't able to add guys that were young, guys that could compete, guys that could fill out your roster. Instead, they added aging, talented veterans who filled those spots. So, in my opinion, that is the biggest roadblock in Miami's way. Miami is Miami's roadblock. Introspective, huh?
Nobody's ever accused you of being shallow, I suppose. Speaking of things that you're going to want to be a part of, join 104.5 The Zone for the 2025 Golf Classic presented by Ferguson on Monday, June the 9th at Nashville Golf and Athletic Club. Located in the heart of Cool Springs, this historic golf course features features breathtaking panoramic views of the beautiful Middle Tennessee countryside. Purchase your team today and choose between 2 flights, 8 a.m. or 1 p.m., and spend the day teeing off with 1045 The Zone. For more information or to purchase a team, visit 1045thezone.com. So how do you want to tease this next segment? Because what I see in the rundown today is one of the things that I hate the most, and we only do it when Lucas isn't here.
We're going to go do a big Mike Borgonzi breath in and do a big Mike Borgonzi breath out. And we're going to have our moment of positivity.
Oh, I hate these. That's next. I'm telling you, the only thing that I hate more than the moment of positivity is whatever the hell that was. I can't. What do we hire a knockoff T-Pain to do the auto-tune on the promos now? Anyway, Trajan Wealth, they're here to help you because we've all needed some financial assistance or some financial advice in our lives. Whether you're dealing with it currently or you're trying to prepare yourself for the future, you want to make sure that you are keeping your time on task regarding your wealth management strategy. And that's exactly what Trajan Wealth does for you. The simple truth is that there is more to retirement planning than simply calculating your expenses. Trajan Wealth can help you design a strategy based on realistic options that align with your goals and your circumstances, which is why you need to call Trajan Wealth today. They have 2 locations here in Middle Tennessee, Brentwood and Franklin. The number is easy, 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000, or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. 615-737-1045 is how you get in. If you want to get in, F&M Bank Chat, off and rolling, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Now, when Bert was just starting out with us, and Lucas would go out of town or have some other obligation, and it would just be me and Robert, he started making me do these moments of positivity because he didn't feel that I was being positive enough. And it felt to me like a punishment for something that I've done or a bad tone that I've had or whatever, because he would drag me along with this terrible, terrible elevator music and make me say something nice about whatever it was that I wasn't very nice about on the front end. But I want to know why I'm being punished right now, because I haven't been negative. What have I been negative about?
You have not been as positive as you should be.
In terms of what?
In terms of something we've already discussed in Kyle Brandt, who came out and you called it pandering instead of allowing a fan base to be positive, to be excited about something. So I'm going to play it, and I want you to take notes. I want you to be your mouth closed, your ears open, and ready to take any of this in that you think would be applicable at your own job. And we're going to get a little better today. Here was Kyle Brandt talking about the Titans.
So, Mr. Irrelevant in this draft is cornerback Kobe Minor from the University of Memphis. Kobe Minor. I think Kobe Minor, the last person taken in the draft, got more attention and hype than Cam Ward, the first person taken in the draft. I want to talk about Mr. Relevant, which was the #1 overall pick. Guys, this is history. I've never, ever seen less focus, less buzz, less anything on the #1 overall pick in the draft. I remember when the #1 overall pick was an offensive lineman from Central Michigan named Eric Fisher, and he might as well have been Peyton Manning compared to Cam Ward. Cam Ward is sitting there, #1, and it's like he has a 2-syllable name, and we're halfway through the first syllable, and it's already like, well, let's talk Shedeur. Shedeur was very interesting and very compelling. Let's just take one hot second to be like, Cam Ward, incredible journey. 0-star recruit, 3 different colleges. You're the best player at the draft, looking down on all these Ohio State guys and Georgia guys, and you went to Incarnate Word. Cam Ward's coolest thing is that there is nothing to talk about, because he doesn't give anything to talk about, because he is that solid as a person, that solid as a player. I'm not familiar with who Cam Ward's father is. I don't know much about him. I don't know anything about what he does on social media. I know he's a hell of a football player and deserves credit for that. And you know what? Tennessee Titans fans, if you want a little bit of sizzle and you want some conversation, you damn well deserve it. Because you better believe if that #1 overall pick was to the New York Giants or the Dallas Cowboys or the Chicago Bears, there'd be way more Cam Ward talk. But it's the fact that he's going to the Titans, and maybe the Titans logo doesn't jump off the marquee, that you're not getting it. So Titans fans, I see you, I love you, and I give you the gift of this beautiful image. Cam Ward wears #1 in college, but hold on a second. #1 for that organization was Warren Moon. He's an all-time great. He's not going to wear #1. Yes, he is, because at his media session, Warren Moon showed up himself. That's awesome. And gives him a handoff. He says, you will wear #1 for this organization. I bless you. I respect you. And thank God for Warren Moon doing this. Otherwise, he's the only person on the face of the earth who seems to have any interest whatsoever in, again, the #1 pick in the draft, who is such a good player and such a good pick that no one has any debate to this. There was zero debate about who should go #1 in a draft that includes an all-time historic two-way player. And it's still like, Travis Hunter's great, but my God, that Cam Ward is good. He certainly is. He's at the right place. He's at a great organization. He's got his jersey number. And for just one hot second, before I get a shepherd hook that pulls me off the air for talking about Cam Ward, let's say, Cam, great job. We're following you. We're rooting for you. And even better than that, we're actually bleeping talking about you, Cam Ward. Congratulations.
Yes.
See, wasn't that great? Wasn't that a nice little moment?
Why is there so much music behind that?
Okay,
that's awful.
That's the first thing you say about that.
That's
is
right.
how bad it was. All
No, the
3
music.
different musics
The
were
music
bad.
is exhausting.
Okay,
For
well,
what?
you're going to have to listen to a little more music, because I want you...
No, I don't want to do this.
After listening to that...
Can we not?
Who do you think could do for a little positivity? I think it's you. I'll start off, because I know you're not very good at this.
Don't do the music.
You don't have anybody in your life right now who's going to eke this positivity in. So that's what I'm going to do. The Titans had a fantastic draft headlined by Cam Ward, where they got to talk about all kind of things, how he's going to impact the offense. They added 2 difference makers on day 2. And then the wide receivers everybody's talking about. How do you say his name? Say his last name for us, Buck.
Alec Iamaner.
That's great. I appreciate that. Even though we can't say his name, we know he's going to have a huge impact on the field with his size and the same thing that DK brings.
I hate this music worse than I hate the other music.
You don't like the coffee shop jazz?
This is not soothing.
This is very up. This is very hip. I'm cool. I'm hip.
Very up.
What's going on,
That's
fellow
definitely
kids?
what somebody who's very hip says. This is very up, fellow children.
Well, what's going on, fellow teenagers?
What do you want from me here?
I want you to.
I'm never going to do the Kyle Brandt thing.
I want you. Okay, don't do the Kyle Brandt thing. Do the Buck Brandt thing. Do your best attempt at being a little positive. Give a big Mike Borgonzi sniff in. God, I wish he was on the install so I could put some Claritin.
So you can make fun
under his seat. Hey, Mike, love the press conferences, but you be
Allergies
wheezing.
are very serious. Don't make fun of that poor man because he's not used to Middle Tennessee pollen yet.
Get him some local honey. So I need you to be a little positive. Be a little positive.
About the Titans?
Yes.
I like the way that they let us talk to their national scouts and their assistant GMs.
Now, dadgummit, Buck.
That was well done. It was very thorough. It was very informative. I like that.
That was not.
That's a nice thing that I said.
Okay. You're right. We'll start small.
Don't push me.
We'll start small.
All right?
They're
still the worst team in football until they're not.
Hold on. No, don't be talking like that.
Okay.
Don't be talking like that.
I gave you what you wanted, and then you pushed back on it and said it wasn't enough.
The worst team in football, could we make that the third worst team in football?
This year, maybe.
Maybe?
See, that's nice.
I'll take it. We're going to work on this. That's been your moment of positivity.
Oh, thank God.
Did that hurt?
I hate those.
And make your body crawl?
I'm somebody, and you've talked about this before off air. I don't move around in my seat. I don't get shifty. I don't get uncomfortable the way that Lucas does, where he's just constantly bobbing and weaving throughout the course of the show to the point where his camera angle is exhausting on the live stream. That makes me squirm in my chair.
Well, I love that because we didn't make year resolutions. We didn't make any goals as a show, but that should be your goal. Be a little softer, be a little kinder, be a little nicer.
You don't want that.
Be a little less scowly. I would love that. I would love that. Please.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
In places you don't talk about at parties.
That's right.
You want me on that wall.
If it wasn't for me being willing to be the bad guy, the two of you would be miserable. Because then, if I was more likable, it's like Nicholas Petit-Frere being a terrible right tackle in his rookie season. He had Dennis Daly to cover up just how terrible he was. I'm your Dennis Daly, bud.
You've never spoken truer words.
Uh-huh.
All right, I'm done.
Take your ass to the shadows. Moment of positivity. Oh, God. It makes my skin crawl. So, speaking of things that make Titans fans skin crawl, your organization had no interest in trading away Will Levis. We're going to tell you why. Coming up next.
What's going on? Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans General Manager Mike Borgonzi and President of Football Operations Chad Brinker spoke to the media yesterday, highlighting their draft class and what the overall theme of their class was.
With a strong foundation, and I think it was well documented on the character of these individuals that we brought into this football team. Now, we expect them to come in and learn how to be a pro and be the guys that we think they can be to really help change the culture around here. And I know that takes some time, but it starts with getting really good football players in here who are also really good people.
If you want a broad breakdown of the entire Titans 2025 draft class, then you need to be at the install with Greg Cosell as they talk about the pros and cons of every single Titans draft pick, maybe even a couple UDFAs thrown in there, with Titans head coach Brian Callahan. This Friday, May 2nd at the Analog Room at the Hutton Hotel. Tickets available at 1045 The Zone. Big money coming in for tight ends as George Kittle has signed an extension to remain in San Francisco. 4 years, $76 million with $40 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid tight end in the league. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 1045. The Zone.
Titans fans not thrilled with one thing that came out of yesterday's post-draft recap press conference. I'm going to tell you what that is here in just a little while. Thanks for dropping in, stopping by, hanging out. If you've been with us for the first 2 hours, it's just Robert and me. For the rest of the week, Lucas is in Puerto Rico, if I'm not mistaken. I imagine he's drinking seltzers on the beach, running about, listening to whatever kind of music, his Billy Strings music, as he gets a peaceful moment away from the chaos that is this radio show. But we're happy to have you anyway until 1 o'clock. 615-737-1045 is the number. F&M Bank Chat also available for you. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, if you're so inclined. So, about the only thing that I've heard Titans fans bitch about coming out of the draft is the fact that Will Levis is still here. And while I understand the logic of you being so done with that particular player after the product that he produced or did not produce on the field in 2024, after he was given significant resources around him to get this football team back to a level where it can be respectable again. And it's been a while. He cratered in ways that were so unspeakably bad that I don't think you could have recreated the Will Levis 2024 experience in a lab. If you tried 10 times, you'd probably come away with only the one result that left you with the surrender cobra in week 1. So he's still here. And I know Titans fans wanted him traded during the draft, and I told you, it made no sense that a team would be willing to give up draft capital in the draft for Will Levis when they know the Titans are done with Will Levis by nature of drafting Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. But Mike Borgonzi said something about Will Levis yesterday that made it pretty interesting, because what he also said, I suppose this has the whole exchange about whether or not they considered trading Levis during the draft, Robert?
That is correct. Sorry, I was reading an email.
So let's find out together how Mike Borgonzi feels about the Will Levis situation, considering that they did not trade him during the draft.
It's a lot of value. I think, there's going to be competition in every room, and he elevates the competition in that room. That's what we're trying to do here as we get into training camp, is have the best 90-man roster, best competition in every room, and Will certainly provides that.
Okay, so he said that there was no consideration given to trading him during the draft, that they sought out no offers. He wasn't asked specifically if they received calls about Will Levis, but he's been pretty steadfast. They have been pretty steadfast in the idea of, no, we want him here. All right, but for how long? My expectation is that Will Levis would not be on the 53-man roster because I would assume that the Titans would get, basically have another Malik Willis situation where you get down to roster cut day. If he plays reasonably well enough in the preseason that he's intriguing to another team and you can recoup a 6th, probably a 7th for a player who you spent both a 2nd and a 3rd round pick acquiring, because remember, you traded up to get him. Yeah, it's a sunk cost, but at least it's not a total loss. And my expectation would be that Will Levis would see the bulk of training camp, if not all of training camp, and then basically make it to roster cut day by the time he was flipped for a 6th or a 7th round pick. Is Will Levis the second best quarterback in the Titans quarterback room currently? Cam Ward, Will Levis, Brandon Allen, Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle, whose claim to fame certainly isn't his play on the field, but apparently he's a stellar locker room guy. Chad Brinker was a part of bringing him in the UDFA process when they were back together in Green Bay. He's been in a couple of different spots since then, and he continues to get NFL jobs, Tim Boyle, to his credit, even though, as far as I can tell, Robert, he wasn't even a good quarterback in college, much less what he's been able to produce at the NFL level.
Yeah, the big draw with Tim Boyle that I remember is when he was with Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers was a big fan. He ended up leaving, signing with the practice squad on the Lions or the Bills, I believe, and Packers fans were so upset. Oh, how could you let Tim Boyle go? And then he played.
Yeah.
And he was awful.
Yes.
So the big draw with him is that when Aaron was in Green Bay, he appreciated him being in the quarterback room.
So, from a talent perspective, whatever that looked like last year, Will Levis is the second most talented quarterback in the Titans quarterback room. Does it make sense to keep him beyond training camp? I would argue very much no, but I'm totally fine with him being here for training camp. Because I thought Ramon Foster made this point well in the first hour, where he said, Cam Ward and Will Levis need to establish a relationship right out of the gate. Just need to have a frank conversation about, listen, me being here is not your fault, even though I would argue that it is Will Levis's fault that Cam Ward is here. Largely Will Levis's fault that Cam Ward is here. But this circumstance, you didn't wish for this to happen. I didn't wish for this to happen to you. But we have to be able to have a good working relationship because we're teammates until we're not. And even then, just out of common decency, we have to have a relationship here. I saw some people bring it up last night, Robert, on Primetime, doing a Primetime show last night, that the Titans need to just get rid of him as soon as humanly possible, Levis, because it would be too awkward in the quarterback room. And I was very dismissive of the idea that it would be too awkward in the quarterback room. These people are professional competitors. It's completely ridiculous to think that Cam Ward, who you see in all these videos of him and Shedeur Sanders training, is so insecure that he would not be able to handle the former second-round pick also being in the quarterback room when he understands damn well why he's here. It's to play quarterback for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, that's tough. Actually, thinking about it, hearing you talk about it, I think the Titans should just go ahead and release Tyler Lockett. Go ahead and release Van Jefferson. I just don't want it to be awkward for these rookies coming in. You know what I mean? Like they're veterans. They're probably going to take some of their snaps. I don't want it to be awkward.
Yeah. That's the kind of seriousness that I take people who have that opinion with. It is as cutthroat a work environment, as hostile a work environment as you could possibly have. And that's what these people are used to their entire lives. Now, the question becomes, if Will Levis is the second most talented quarterback in the Titans room, does that make him the best backup quarterback option? Those, to me, are two different questions. Because the question of can Will Levis be the backup quarterback in Tennessee to Cam Ward is a matter of whether you can trust Will Levis or not. There is nothing from a personal standpoint that Will Levis has done to wrong anybody, okay? Say that on the front end. Because the professional criticism has been harsh, and I think deservedly so. the professional that he is, and I don't mean in terms of his work ethic, I don't mean in terms of his study habits, his preparation, how he trains in the offseason. I take no issue with the way that Will Levis approaches the job. What I do take issue with is that all of that goes to the side as soon as he hits the field. You can't trust him out there. Or at least based on the sample size that you have, you can't trust him. And I don't even think this is an arguable point, Robert. Coaches will almost prioritize how much they can trust a player, even if that player is less talented than a guy who may do something outside of structure, especially when you're talking about the backup quarterback situation, where if you're being inserted into the lineup or if you're having to go in on spot duty, you have to be able to just simply calm the situation down, get everybody where they need to be or in as good a position as humanly possible, and execute the play that's called. Don't go off script. Don't make a hero play. Take the completions that we present to you, hand the ball off when it's time to do it, make sure everybody's in the right spot as far as assignment and alignment goes, manage the situation, calm the situation. That is the antithesis of the Will Levis experience. So to me, I don't see any world where it makes sense to keep Levis on this roster, and it makes the idea of a market for Will Levis even more interesting after the fact, because he's not going to be brought in as somebody competing for a starting job in 2025. If a team does choose to acquire him, he's going to be coming in to compete for a backup spot. And whichever team would acquire Will Levis has to also have that same conversation of, yeah, but can we trust him? Now, in fairness, I think you could have had that same conversation around Malik Willis before Malik Willis showed what he did in Green Bay. To his credit, he never looked that good while he was here with the Titans. There's probably a variety of different reasons why that's true. And in fact, it was interesting to talk to Matt LaFleur, who I hadn't seen since he was the offensive coordinator here back in 2018, but I caught up with him at owners' meetings. And just how complimentary Matt LaFleur was of what Malik brought to the table for them, because he had to play almost right away. That Jordan Love injury happened in Brazil in week 1. So Malik Willis is on the field in Brazil in week 1 and then having to start the next couple of games for Jordan Love dealing with, was it a high ankle sprain? It was some kind of ankle situation because of the turf down at the, I can't remember the venue that they played at in Brazil, but still, we understood that the field conditions were not satisfactory and that it led to an injury there. So perhaps that's what ends up happening to Will Levis. Perhaps he has a more Sam Darnold, Geno Smith type of career trajectory where Sam Darnold, post-Jets, wasn't anything to be impressed by. Him going to Carolina, him going to San Francisco, his career rehab tour, ultimately before he landed with the Minnesota Vikings and then got a legit payday from the Seattle Seahawks this offseason. Geno Smith, well documented. He was the backup for the New York Giants. He was the backup for, I think, the then San Diego Chargers before Seattle ultimately took a chance on him. And the rest is history, right? They wrote me off, but I didn't write back. The whole Geno Smith story. Levis's career trajectory, maybe you don't care after he's gone here. I'm sure many of you are just ready to be done with that player being in your locker room. But I don't think that you can keep him just because he's more talented than the other two. You have to keep a player that you trust. And while Tim Boyle may not win you games, or Brandon Allen may not win you games, the backup quarterback really just has to not lose you games. And losing you games is what Will Levis's reputation kind of is right now. 615-737-1045 is the number. Let's talk about not your past quarterback, but your current quarterback, or what projects to be your future quarterback in Cam Ward. And let's also talk about the biggest rookie impact that we think will be had beyond Cam Ward in year 1. That's coming up next. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Lunch hour upon us. Consider Hattie B's. Any one of their Middle Tennessee locations. You can download the app. Mobile order wherever you are in Middle Tennessee, or if you're in Dallas, Austin, Vegas, Birmingham. Hattie B's all over the place. HattieB.com for more information. We got some phone calls on the last segment, so we'll get to those before we dive into, outside of Cam Ward, the biggest rookie impact we expect in 2025. 615-737-1045 is how you weigh in on either of those topics of conversation. Let's go to Kevin in Murfreesboro next.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. I listen to your show all the time. About the Will Levis, I think Will Levis would be good with another team, say Cleveland, for example, a team that is struggling but can be rebuilt, if that makes any sense.
Well, Kevin, do you know how many quarterbacks Cleveland currently has in their room?
They're at a full roster.
Yeah, they've got 5 quarterbacks alone, if you count Deshaun Watson. So I guess I'm not really sure how that would benefit a player like Will if you were looking for a landing spot that would benefit him. And also, I don't think that Cleveland would be in the business of adding yet another quarterback to a 5-man room.
My thing is if they didn't have, say, the 5 men and they needed a quarterback that could turn the team around, that would be the ideal thing. And as far as Tennessee goes, I think Tennessee made a good choice with Cam. The Aaron Rodgers thing, I've always said, why not have him over here in Tennessee?
I want nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. That's 60 seconds on the clock, Kevin. We do appreciate the call. I don't know about any of that.
Why'd you shut him down going to Cleveland, man? They're going to get rid of some of those dudes. You might as well bring
so they're just going to keep adding more of them?
No. As a professional Cleveland lover, I only have anything but the best interest of Cleveland at heart. They should trade for Will Levis. They should add him to that room. He adds something they don't have.
What, are you looking for, a couple extra Ravens turnovers this year?
I would love that.
Respectfully.
I would love that.
I've got some interesting comments in the chat as well. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, of course, is where you can live stream all of the shows on a regular basis. Zone TV. Subscribe to Zone TV on YouTube if you're so inclined, if you haven't done so already. So this is an interesting comment. It's a series of comments from an account called Mike Vrabel's Burner. It says, talk like this is why Titans fans are so surprised when players have success elsewhere. Completely blaming Levis is Titans organization propaganda to take blame off the rest of the roster / front office and coaching. He goes on to add that everyone blames Will, no blame for Callahan. It's weird to me. It's like it's this person's first time listening to this radio show. There are plenty of reasons why the 3-14 Tennessee Titans were the worst team in football last year. Plenty of them. If you cannot assign majority blame to the quarterback who did the most damage out of any one individual person that brought this team down last year, then you're either willfully ignoring what your eyes saw in 2024, or you have some kind of persecution complex in favor of Will Levis. And either are fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I said that the Titans should clean house. And then when they fired Rand Carthon, I wondered why he was the only one fired. Rand Carthon and Will Levis both lost their jobs because of what happened last year. I don't necessarily think that the Titans couldn't have found more people responsible for 3-14 last year. I've had this conversation with Brian Callahan because, like I said, I came on here the day after the season was over and I said, get rid of it all. And Brian and I have had pretty frank conversations about, professional criticism versus personal criticism, and all my criticism was professional. Or my criticisms of the professional job that they did or did not do last year. And he's pretty understanding of that. So much so that he's going to be a part of the live podcast on Friday, and I respect that a lot because that's not an easy thing to do, especially with somebody who's been as critical as I have of just the organization in general. I wrote the day that the season was over that I don't think that the Titans are capable, or I don't believe anymore that the Titans are capable of winning a Super Bowl under Amy Adams Strunk leadership. And I'm not just saying this to toot my own horn or something like that and say, well, what do you mean nobody's been critical? I've been the most critical. I've been critical of everybody. But, I mean, if you think that Levis is the only one who got blamed for last year, you've got some kind of earmuffs on that are just filtering out everything else about the Titans organization that has been criticized. More specifically, the way that ownership has handled the last couple of years. Maybe they've got it right this time. I have no idea. Early returns are promising, but they haven't played a game yet. They haven't taken a practice yet. They've got they've got vets in the building doing on-field workouts and stuff like that, lifting and running. But beyond that, I have no idea what the 2025 Titans are going to turn out to be, if all of this will be correct or if all of this will be same old, same old. Nobody is blaming Levis exclusively. But if you had to assign a percentage of blame, he would get the most blame. He should get the most blame. His performance is the reason that they are in this situation. And now it's incumbent upon everybody else to dig themselves out of the mess that he made. 615-737-1045 is how you can jump in there. We'll get back to your phone calls here in just a second. Quick reminder that the Big Orange Caravan is coming to town. 3HL going to be broadcasting live from Geodis Park for Tennessee's Big Orange Caravan on Wednesday from 3 to 6 p.m. Is that tomorrow? They're out there tomorrow?
That is correct.
Okay, tomorrow. You can hang out at Geodis Park with 3HL. You can tune in to hear exclusive interviews from head coach Josh Heupel, Rick Barnes, Kim Caldwell, Danny White, athletic director is going to be there, and the new voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, also going to be at the Big Orange Caravan tomorrow. So go check out 3HL and all the great interviews that they are going to do then from 3 until 6. Jack in Portland is next.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, this is Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Hey, I just wanted to, make a comment on that Will Levis issue there. There were some things I agreed with, some I don't. I don't think people were looking for Will Levis to be, the savior originally, and he's not that kind of quarterback. He's not a terrible quarterback, but he needs a team around him, and that would make the team good. There was a comment made that he had plenty of resources and players around him, but that's just not true. The Titans have steadily been getting rid of all their players. Another comment about Amy Adams, that is exactly true. The Titans ain't going nowhere as long as she's in charge. You got to put somebody in there that knows about football and players. Will Levis he's not a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow or Josh Allen. He can't make a team by himself. I think he would be good as a backup quarterback, but that's probably the extent of it.
Thank you for the call, Jack. Appreciate it. That's 60 seconds on the clock.
How come can't nobody hear? Every time we add somebody on the daggum line, it's like, hello? Like you just got woken up into an ether. Is someone there? Hello?
Didn't you tell me to be nice to the callers?
That's right. I'm sorry. Sorry to all the callers out there who don't know when you're on the daggum air. Hello? Can you hear me? No.
It is one of my favorite things when I say their name and they say, can you hear me? And I say, yes. And
hey, it's me, Jack.
The follow, yeah. I know, Jack. I know.
Hey, by the way, you guys know how to fix this time on the VCR?
Call us anytime, Jack.
Yeah, we love it.
Anytime. You can even tell me that it's you. I told you and Lucas this. I tried to get rid of callers, and the two of you fought me on it, but that's neither here nor there. So, to his point about Amy Adams Strunk, listen, she has empowered people to do the vast majority of this stuff. She is doing the thing that a lot of you are suggesting that she needs to do, but she just happens to be the figurehead that still owns the team. So, I'm not saying that she gets a fresh slate now that she keeps firing everybody to give herself a fresh slate, but we'll see if they haven't gotten it right this time. I'm going to try and approach this with a new perspective or a fresh perspective of, all right, well, Mike Borgonzi is not responsible for John Robinson's sins. And Brian Callahan is not tied to, well, I guess he's kind of tied to Rand Carthon's sins, but you understand what I'm saying, right? You try not to hold the cloud of people who came before and made mistakes before these new people or these newer people arrived here to try and fix the situation. So we'll see if they're capable of fixing the situation, and if not, then we'll have a conversation about that afterwards. But it does seem to me that Amy is trying to do what you've suggested there, which is empower a variety of different people across the organization to make better decisions. We'll see if they end up being right about that. All right, so let's we can get back to that, or ideally we'd not get back to Will Levis conversation, but that does seem to come up a fair amount of time. Let's talk about the players that you are getting in here, the players that are going to try and fix this mess or are going to help fix this mess. For Cam Ward, they are downplaying the situation publicly about naming starters in April, and they are entirely well within their rights to do that. Nobody's asking the Tennessee Titans to name Cam Ward their starting quarterback today. Well, actually, maybe somebody is. I'm sure a few of you are. Just tell us already, right? I would like him to be in competition with Will Levis. I would like to see Cam Ward earn as much as they are willing to let him earn beyond just giving him the job. They gave the job to Will Levis last year. How'd that work out? Cam Ward, we expect to have the biggest rookie impact of any of the players that were drafted. Of the 9 players that were drafted, not a hot take to say that Cam Ward is going to have the most impactful rookie season out of any of them. Because while he may not be the starter now, he absolutely needs to be the starter come September. For the rest of them, as you kind of look around the other 8 picks, how or where do you expect that rookie impact to manifest itself most beyond Cam Ward? If I gave you the 9 picks or the 8 picks outside of Cam Ward, whether you're looking at Kevin Winston Jr. in the 3rd round, Mike Borgonzi said yesterday that they had a top of 2nd round grade on him, and that's probably the best value on a player that was on their board, graded higher on their board than they ended up getting him because they got him towards the middle of the 3rd round. Could Kevin Winston Jr., whose health cost him last season but is not expected to bog him down for basically any of this, he just ran his 40 at the pro day, coming off an ACL tear in 2024. With the Titans signing Xavier Woods to a 2-year deal to run alongside Amani Hooker, bringing back Mike Brown in the safety room, can Kevin Winston find his way into a starting job in competition there? You try not to put too much pressure on these rookies or too much expectation on it. And there's something to be said about, well, Xavier Woods, solid player in Carolina, somebody who's going to be capable of starting. Maybe Kevin Winston ends up being a viable option as the season wears on. If Xavier Woods doesn't go to plan, if he's not necessarily fitting in the way that you need him to fit in, I have no idea what that experience is going to look like. But to me, this class is filled with players that you're going to see incumbents start the season in their positions, and the players who are brought in may have the opportunity to unseat some of these incumbents. I don't think Amani Hooker's losing his job to Kevin Winston Jr. But if Xavier Woods did and you ended up bumping Xavier Woods down to your 3rd safety, I wouldn't be mad about that at all. Or if Kevin Winston can play himself onto the field in that 3rd safety role and earn additional opportunities through special teams or otherwise, that would be an ideal circumstance. To me, though, the most immediate impact is going to have to come from one of these wide receivers. Whether it's Alec Iamaner. Did I get it?
I think so.
I think I got it.
No one told me you said it wrong yet.
Only took 3 hours today. Whether it's Alec Iamaner or Chimere Dike, the 2 wide receivers, whether it's Gunnar Helm in the tight end room, those guys are probably going to see more action than just about any other position. I'm sure there'll be packages to get Kevin Woods or Femi Oladejo onto the field. The starting pass rushers are going to be Arden Key and Draymond Jones until such time as one of these players that they're bringing in unseats them. if you're a coaching staff, again, going back to a bit of the Will Levis conversation, you're looking for guys that you can trust right out of the gate, especially early in the season. So preseason is going to provide a lot of opportunities for these guys to get their feet wet. And maybe training camp will show that some of the rookies, beyond just Cam Ward, are able to give you that instant impact. It's going to be interesting to see, to me, which of the wide receivers sees the most playing time this year between DK or Iomanner. I think a lot of people would probably say Iomanner first because it felt like a lot more Titans fans had him as a potential draft crush than DK, for example. I didn't hear Chimere DK's name a lot in the pre-draft process from at least the fan base who were lusting after wide receiver help.
Yeah, I not to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I agree with you.
I'm sure the audience is grateful to have you cut me off.
In some ways, but in other ways, I feel like DK could see the field a little bit earlier because of the skill set he provides, and he kind of does the dirty work that no one else wants to do. Whether he's a target or not, he can run clear-out routes all day. Someone who stretches the field. You don't necessarily have to throw those.
You don't want Calvin Ridley exclusively running your clear-out routes.
Correct. So, I could see him having a role on field, not quicker, but with more regularity than Iomanner.
I think that's a reasonable expectation. He does bring speed into the room that they do have in Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley is going to have to be this team's number one wide receiver again this year. It's just the most experience. We'll see who ends up leading them in receptions. If it ends up being Lockett, if it ends up being, it would be, I think, a surprise to be Lockett, but Lockett is a good security blanket to have in this. We'll see what happens, what becomes the tight end room, who emerges as the most able-bodied tight end that they have in that group between Chig, between Wiley, and now with the addition of Gunnar Helm. I would assume that they're going to try and make this work with Chig Okonkwo. But Chig Okonkwo is also in a contract year as a 2022 draft pick. So he's going to be in a situation where he may ball out and he may go on to get paid by somebody else. Wouldn't that be ideal to get a compensatory draft pick, to start the compensatory draft pick ball rolling with guys from a draft class that you didn't think was very salvageable? The final draft class of John Robinson. 615-737-1045 is how you can jump in. Speaking of the draft class, you can join us at the install this Friday. Greg Cosell, head coach Brian Callahan, me, so many other friends from 104.5 The Zone. We are going to be doing a live taping of the podcast in the Analog Room at the Hutton Hotel this Friday. Cosell and Coach Callahan, they're going to break down the free agents and the draft class, as well as take your questions and more, thanks to Two Rivers Ford, Hattie B's, Monkey Shoulder Scotch Whiskey, Milagro Tequila, and Wholesale Supply. If you want to get your tickets, make sure you get them today. 1045thezone.com is where you go. Back to the phones. How about Braden in Chattanooga?
Shout out Chattanooga Titans fans. Guys, for me, the Project Prove It picks are Femi. He's inexperienced at that position. DK didn't have much production in college. I watched Helm's tape from last year, and he had a lot of penalties, so I'm kind of concerned about him. The pick I think will be the best rookie of this class is going to be Kevin Winston Jr. There was a lot of negativity surrounding that pick because of what we had on the board at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But based on what Saban said about him, he said if he wasn't injured, he could have played his whole career and he would have been a first-round pick. I think Kevin by far is going to overshadow these, even all the receivers. I think he's going to have a breakout season. He's going to take over Xavier Woods at that spot. Thank you guys for having me, and have a good day.
Thanks for the call. You too, Braden, not Brandon.
Well, they got to speak. We're not going to blame me for back here typing up people. If I put your name as Fart Sniffer, that's your name. I don't care if you're. I'm Jack. I'm not Braden. I'm Brandon. I don't care. Well, Braden.
He didn't do that.
Oh, who did that?
I did that.
Oh, okay.
I said his name wrong, and then I corrected myself.
Oh.
You had a bad day back there with the callers? What's wrong?
No, I love the callers.
It doesn't seem like you love the callers.
It's this daggum keyboard back here. Everybody be eating snacks and sticky suckers and whatnot, and the daggum keyboard gets
Name names.
Who I think the Titans' biggest impact as a rookie year one, I would have to go with Gunnar Helm, Buck. One of the comparisons you see a lot for him, or I don't know if you see a lot. I don't know if people even look up comparisons. But I get a lot of Jake Ferguson vibes from him.
Oh.
Cowboys tight end. And they have a similar process to getting in the league where Jake Ferguson was also a fourth-round pick, came in the league behind an established tight end starter in Dalton Schultz, had to sit a year, and the next year sets career highs. So Gunnar Helm would have to is in a similar spot where having to come in behind Chig, but could make a decent, memorable moment in his rookie year, just being available in goal lines, being tight end 3, but eventually in year 2 could see himself as a starter.
I don't recall asking your opinion.
I was trying to pivot off saying who was eating things back here.
Or taking out the callers. I'm wise to your game. Last call for phone calls if you got them. 615-737-1045 is the number. We'll update some polls, and apparently Bert has a hypothetical that he wants to run by me, which is always a good time. Find out next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Last call for phone calls. Have you got them? We are going to, what is the hypothetical that you're going to run me through here in just a second before I wrap things up with the callers? What do you got for me back
Could
there?
100 men take down a gorilla?
Oh, God. What, did you just get on Twitter and see what's trending this week?
No, we've just been so slammed, I haven't had an opportunity to ask you.
No. Did you come up with this hypothetical that's just all over my social media time?
No, because I don't like hypotheticals because the way my brain works, I just answer them. So I did the research last night, and I found out unequivocally what the answer is of how many men it would take.
You've done some investigative journalism, huh?
To take down a gorilla.
Okay. Well, we will find out here in just a second. But I suppose we should wrap up with the phone calls. Darrington is up next. What's up, buddy?
My good brother, man. So, hey, when you be spitting these facts, boy, you be spitting these facts. Boy, these people got to understand you be talking these facts. But one thing I kind of slightly disagree. You said last year was a mostly Will Levis' fault. Yeah. It's whoever drafted him. It's still their fault because he wasn't good in Kentucky, wasn't making good in pros. Don't people understand we are still in Mr. Robertson's purgatory from all – how many bad first-round picks in a row do you think you're going to be able to get wrong and then all of a sudden it's supposed to be flipped? Y'all, people need to be realized. Listen, Jaden Daniels, what he did last year, amazing. C.J. Stroud, the year before that, amazing. That ain't happening here, people. That just ain't gonna happen. Reality hurts sometimes. Life sucks sometimes. And right now, being a Tennessee Titans fan, it's gonna suck because they couldn't draft for crap. So it just is what it is. We got to just live through it, and then eventually they'll learn how to draft and they'll learn how to keep players. But until then, we'll eat a mayonnaise sandwich, extra Duke on the side. Y'all have a good.
Thanks for the call. Right at the buzzer. Ever the optimist. You should do moment of positivity with Darrington. He needs it more than I do.
He was listening. He gets it. He takes his daily prescription of Bert.
Oh, goodness. I am curious to see what they actually... I'm fascinated to cover this Titan season. I really am. And that's more than I can say for the last couple of years, because the last couple of years, the outlook was pretty grim. And the outlook this year is not going to be substantially better. I would think that their Vegas win total valuation, preseason win total valuation, is probably still somewhere around 5.5, 4.5, depending on where you're looking. If you made me go just off today, April 29th, over under 5.5, I'd probably still go under because they've got a lot of things that they've got to work through. And a rookie quarterback, I don't expect every rookie quarterback to be Jaden Daniels. I think that's probably the point that Darrington made that I agree with the most. You got to keep expectations relative. And Washington came out of nowhere, to their credit. So maybe Tennessee can too. But I don't think that hoping and wishing and praying is a strategy. What they're trying to do is strategic. The question is whether they're going to be able to pull it off or not. All right. Run me through this hypothetical.
100 men against one gorilla. Before that, I was always on the side that 100 men could, in fact, kill a gorilla. If you're just thinking 100 flatly, you're like, oh, okay, 100, whatever. But if you saw 100 people, it's a large number of people. They would be able to easily overwhelm a gorilla. And ChatGPT, who helped me with this extensive research, appreciate that, ChatGPT, agreed with me. Most experts would estimate that you need around 15 to 30 athletic adult men to have a realistic chance. Even then, casualties would be very high. In summary, a minimum estimate would need that you need 15 to 20 very strong, very brave men. A more realistic number would be 25 to 30 average men, accounting for fear, injuries, and chaos. Do you think, broadly, 100 men could take down a gorilla?
No. Have you seen a gorilla?
Have I seen a gorilla?
They will take...
Sleep next to one every night. Love you, baby. She's going to kill me if she hears that.
I'm going to make sure she does.
No, don't. Come on, dude.
What am I supposed to do with that? You just dropped that in my lap. How am I...
It's Taco Tuesday,
Play
dude.
the damn polls.
No, come on. You didn't even tell me if you think.
You are not getting tacos after what you just said in front of a microphone. Play the polls so we can get the hell out of here. Shame on you, really.
The polls are sponsored by Two Rivers Ford, the most trusted Ford dealer in the whole South, and they could probably protect you from a gorilla. If you're in one of them Broncos, I bet you could hit a gorilla if you had to. It would be a terrible circumstance.
That would be the worst possible use of a quality American-made Ford vehicle.
Fair or foul, the Titans not seeking. Somebody turn that damn music down. I don't know who's in charge of that. Fair or foul, the Titans seeking a Will Levis trade. Castor Troy says, considering he's barely had years of worth of game, it would be it cost more against the cap to trade or cut him than to keep him. It's a pretty idiotic reason to get away with him.
I don't think that it doesn't cost them anything to trade him. If they get somebody to take his rookie deal, that money's off the books.
Orange Stormtrooper says fine either way, but the third option, I wouldn't be. I mean, if they, for some reason, were to cut him, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to... Like I said, Mike Borgonzi doesn't have to really pay for Rand Carthon's sins, and trading up for Will Levis is going to be regarded as one of Rand Carthon's sins there, or just the organization's sins. But you have to be able to get some kind of draft capital. A quarterback is too valuable, especially one that still has traits, even though Will Levis, all the traits in the world can't fix what was wrong with him last year.
Which Vols player found the best NFL landing spot? Only one reply. We love you, Karen. James Pierce Jr. is her answer. I think I'd have to go with Omar Norman Lott. You land on the Kansas City Chiefs.
You get to play next to Chris Jones.
Oh, Jinx, you owe me a kiss. See you after the show.
I will stab you in the neck with this red pen I'm holding in my hand.
We'll go to the next one then. Which
you
Titans...
think Cheyenne's scary to sleep next to? Try it.
Don't talk about my little silverback like that. Which Titans draft pick outside of Cam Ward?
You are so sleeping outside tonight.
Outside of Cam Ward will have the biggest 2025 impact. Karen, again, says hopefully DK. Callahan Culture says it's most likely going to be Helm. And then Ricky, that edge from UCLA.
Edge feels like he's going to have a lot of opportunity. But they run 3 wide receiver sets, and I mean, it's Calvin Ridley, it's Tyler Lockett, and who? You know, I mean, one of these guys, Xavier Restrepo. Are we putting proper respect on Xavier Restrepo's name? You want to talk about things that Titans fans are going to be obsessed with. They already have an overwhelming love for training camp wide receivers that are fringe roster guys, especially Cam Ward's former teammate at Miami coming in here as an undrafted rookie wide receiver. The memes are going to be all over the place.
What in sports made you say, oh, no, not reading the first 3 responses? Because they're just kind of sad. Kenneth says Mel Kiper embarrassing himself for 3 straight days. Ricky Dawson said Cam Ward being slighted because they were talking about Sanders. And Bama Lamb says, I had to make sure I didn't mess up there. Tennessee and LSU 9th inning on Friday night.
Oh, I did not see this, but I was told about it. Did you watch this game?
I went back and saw the clip that he is mentioning.
It's a brutal way to lose. And Gentry Estes and Nick Suss of the Tennessean were talking about it in the draft room on Friday night. Just a heartbreaking way. Especially, I mean, pitcher only gave up, 2 or 3 hits total in that game? I don't have the box score in front of me, but it was, all I know is that it was a tough loss. Tough way to take an L. Those the polls?
Those are the polls.
Very good. That's the show. We appreciate you hanging out. If you didn't get in with us, Blaine and Zach, they're coming up next. We will be back at it tomorrow. We are also expecting at some point maybe some Titans veteran players to speak to the media, so I'll keep you updated with the latest information on that. No prime time for me tonight. See you tomorrow.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay. Employee pricing at Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned, American made.